here in Nairobi, and the location of that meeting will be announced in due time.
And why are people saying NDC? Because there's clear violation of the constitution of the party and discrimination of our genuine delegates from our counties. And therefore, those who have been left out will have an opportunity to attend the real People's NDC, convened by Linda Mwananchi.
And that's the truth on Radio Generation. Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga.
In the beginning, there was morning radio. But now there is Radio Generations, the people's breakfast. Curious and bold, getting facts from the shadows.
That's what it is.
Now, as the city wakes and secrets stir, a bright new voice shines. The people's breakfast. Your morning, your voice, your journey. Good morning.
Good morning, my neighbor.
Welcome to the home of hard truths and bold insights. Radio Generation.
A very good morning to you. How are you doing? This is Radio Generation. You're on 88.8 FM in Nairobi, 90.7 in Mombasa, and of course in Garissa it's 89.5. My name is Mungala Mbuvi na niko naye City Muga hapa hivi. City, habari ya asubuhi?
Habari ya asubuhi nzuri.
Uko fit kabisa?
Nashukuru niko mzima.
Complaints zozote?
Bado.
Kuna mtu amekubo?
Bado.
Kuna mtu amekuambia nyef?
Bado.
Kuna mtu amekataa na pesa yako?
Bado.
Okay, so kila kitu kiko sawa
Tena sana.
Sawa. Good to hear. Good to know.
Yes.
Well, I'm also having a good time because niliamka vizuri sana. Leo sina uchovu kama siku zingine labda. Sina stress yoyote. Watu wako na pesa yangu lakini nimewasamehe, wanaweza kaa nayo. As a matter of fact, hiyo pesa siitaki, wakwende nayo mali watakwenda. Iwasaidie venye itawasaidia. Yeah, wenye wako na mashida na mimi, grudges nini wenye wamenikosea nimewasamehe wote. So leo niko fiti. Leo niko BA, niko 100.
100 for you.
Oh my goodness. It is the 19th day of March 2026, right? So let me tell you what is significant about today. In 1918, the United States time zones were established. Yeah, so the US Congress passed the Standard Time Act, establishing standard time zone and zones and authorizing daylight saving time. I've never really understood this daylight saving thing.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah, but perhaps I'll read more about it. As in, even friends of mine who are abroad, they keep on telling us, oh, the time has been moved. I don't know, backwards or is it forward because of winter? And I'm like, bro, time never changes. But clearly there's a reason as to why all this happens. So, yeah. And in 2003, the Iraqi war begins. Following a 48-hour ultimatum, the United States launched Operation Iraqi Freedom, beginning the invasion of, like President Bush would call it, Iraq. Yeah?
Ilikuwa hivyo.
2003, nakumbuka this particular day. I was in high school, I was in Form 3. Na nakumbuka tukisoma magazeti because you wakati that's the only thing we'd read. Yeah, magazeti wakisema, manze John yaje, America has invaded Iraq. And then they did what they did. And then here we are. Today is also the last day of Eid. In case you didn't know, now you know. Yeah, watu wenye wana celebrate Eid al-Fitr, which is now tomorrow, the last day of Ramadan. Oh no, it's actually tomorrow. So the last day of Ramadan is tomorrow. Tomorrow is Eid. So yes, it was gazetted. It's a national holiday, public holiday. Kwa hivyo tumepatiwa siku ya kupumzika tukikumbuka ya kwamba ni siku ya Eid. City, utakuwa unafanya nini?
Nini?
Kesho.
Sindakuwa kazini?
After kazi. Kwani utakuwa kazini the whole day?
No.
Si at one point utatoka hapo uende?
Yes.
So utafanya nini?
Utaenda nyumbani.
Utaenda tu nyumbani. Vinyo utaenda nyumbani leo. Hii life yako iwanga interesting,
Why?
Life yako. Si uniulize mimi nitafanya nini?
Paul, kesho ukitoka kazini utakuwa utaenda wapi na utafanya nini?
Asante sana kwa swali hilo City. Nitaenda nyumbani straight. Oh my goodness. Big shout out to MC Tonje amesema checking in. MC Tonje checking in straight from Tamu. MC Tonje, the last time I checked you, was it Muhoroni? So today you in Tamu iko Muhoroni pia?
Tamu is Muhoroni. That is actually where I come from specifically. Muhoroni is a constituency.
Right.
Tamu is a shopping center.
I have a feeling this is your relative. I have a very big feeling MC Tonje is actually your rela.
She's good to have relatives, man.
Huyu kama Muhoroni unajua ni constituency ni kubwa, si ndio? So anyone can come from there. Then now amesema specifically Tamu. Na umesema actually Tamu ni kwenu.
That's where I come from, yes.
Huyu ni either cousin yako, brother yako, nephew wako. Huyu ni mtu wenu huyu for sure. All right. Nione kama kuna wengine tunasalimia hapa kabla tuingie into that methali fatadai yenye siti atatupatia. Okay. Sawa. Bado salamu zinaendelea kuingia. Siti, tupatie methali.
We are still in the Republic of Tunisia. You do know that in 2011,
yes,
the Tunisian revolution, as it was then called, triggered what later became the Arab Spring.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
And it ended the 24-year rule of El Abidan Ben Ali.
The 24-year rule of who?
A gentleman called Ben Ali.
Okay.
Abidan Ben Ali.
Abidan.
Yes.
Okay.
Uongozi. Yes.
Abidan El Ali kaenda hivyo.
Well, that is what the Arab Spring did, and the revolution that began in Tunisia, we then spread. It meant certain governments had to go. Okay?
Yes.
Now, remember I mentioned in passing yesterday that Tunisia is what was referred to as Carthage. Carthage was a great military rival of the Romans. Waligongana ma Romans fought. Sana.
Watu walikuwa wanafanyia na majambos manze.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But in 1463, the Romans attacked and conquered Carthage. And in so doing introduced Christianity. And they ruled over that region for 800 years.
Okay. They introduced Christianity.
They did, the Romans introduced Christianity.
But Tunisia is still largely Muslim. The population.
Predominantly Muslim. And it is a mixture of very many interesting indigenous groups. There are the groups called the Berbers, otherwise Mzungus call it Berbers. Okay?
Yeah.
They are Phoenicians, it's a Semitic group. And many of these ones arrived around the 12th century. The point that you look at when you look at the history of countries is how peoples from other regions moved, and over time morphed into what we now refer to as the Republic of Tunisia.
Okay.
Yes. They are Sunni Muslims. That is the faith they subscribe to.
Okay.
Okay? Yes, and they have a parliament, upper, lower, and vitu kama hizo. Yes, but the supreme leadership is under the Ayatollahs.
Okay.
Okay?
Tunisia. You're talking about the Sunni...
No. Actually, I confused myself. I've been thinking of Iran.
Yeah.
So... my mind immediately went back to Iran. No.
Yeah. For a second I was like,
no.
Tunisia, Ayatollah.
No. Sorry.
Okay.
Forgive me, people. The mind slipped. Kichwa ililala kidogo.
I'm sure they have forgiven you.
Yes.
Right. So, what is the proverb?
The proverb for today. Even if he wears a valuable harness, the donkey does not turn into a racehorse.
Even if he wears a valuable harness, the donkey doesn't turn into a valuable racehorse.
Atufanya nini? It's a proverb I've mentioned before. I'm repeating it because I like it. Yes.
Yani basically wanamaanisha haijalishi utavishwa nini, unabaki kile ambacho ulicho. Kuna wazungu wanasemanga that money doesn't buy class.
Anafanya nini? Inaweza kubuy glass.
So,
lakini si class.
Lakini mbona watu wamedharau donkey namna hii? Why do people dharau this animal called a donkey? Why do they? Because a donkey does a lot, and the donkey didn't choose to be born a donkey.
It's called a beast of burden.
Yes. It wasn't. It didn't choose to be born a donkey. It just found itself being a donkey, right? So, why do people have this very interesting?
Who are the people who think less of donkeys?
A lot of people. Actually, even sometimes I see people mistreating donkeys. For example, in the neighborhoods, donkeys are used to fetch water, carry heavy loads, and so on and so forth. But they're usually whipped, they're bitten, they're battered, and I don't understand why. Why can't you just train? Like, I don't see horses being beaten, yet they still do similar chores.
One doesn't see very many horses. Let's start off with that. People see donkeys more often doing work than horses. Horses, for many people, are ornamental. They're used for racing. They are work horses. They tend to be rather massive horses. They're used for plowing and the like. But you're right. The narrative that we have and what we see, the optics, horses are treated better.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yes.
Now, the question that you ask, who began this particular discrimination, I cannot know.
Yeah.
And I do not know.
Yeah.
But you're right. People do not speak well, neither do they treat donkeys well. That much I agree.
Yeah. There's a very large horse. I can't remember from which country. Let me see if I can find it. Rakaraka. Yes. It is called... it is a Shire Geld, I think. Whatever it is, but anyway, it is a mammoth horse.
Yes.
It's a mammoth
in Patikano pande za Scotland na vitu kama hizo.
Hiyo kitu bwana ni kubwa.
It's a very massive.
It's actually kawaida these horses we see hapa kawaida, like tukienda pale Ngong Race Course, you'll see horses that are slightly taller than a normal human being.
They are taller. But this one
is weight, like you can literally stack 2 adults on top.
There are those who use those horses for purposes of war, and they were called war horses. Very intimidating, and you just run through. It was that you was before it.
Yeah.
Yes.
You
know when you're talking of horses and massive animals, it reminds me of some of the members of the dog family.
Yes.
And there are some really, really very big dogs. And oddly enough, the really big dogs tend to be very gentle. Oddly enough.
Yeah.
These pixie little tiny ones which look like toys that are constantly aggravated. It's like they know they are small and they want attention.
There's another time I went to some Mzungu's house. It was also his studio. So I was going there to record a voiceover because I'm a voiceover artist. So I got there because he gave me the directions wakati wa kukonga na Google Maps. Akanambia panda hivi barabara nene. It was some place in Loresho. So anyway, I got there. And then I was ushered into the parking by the security guard. I parked my vehicle. Nikashuka hivi, my friend. Nikapatana na jibwa. That was a huge dog. Do you know me? I refused to get out of the car. Nilifungua hivi milango. I just saw something massive coming towards me. Initially, I thought it was a calf. You know, I thought, oh, he keeps cows. Until I just noticed by day, this thing is actually not a cow.
That dog was coming to greet you.
It
wasn't coming to eat you.
It wasn't coming to eat me for sure. So nikarudi nda, and then there were 2, by the way, because one was white, another one was black.
Was it a Great Dane?
I don't know. I can Google. I'm sure if I Google the breed.
A Great Dane.
Yeah. So when I saw this massive,
big head, big mouth.
Yeah.
Great Dane.
I saw this thing coming towards me. I just went back into the car and I locked it.
Very wise.
Alafu nikakaa hivi na nika roll up the windows. I was like, I am not dying today.
Yes.
So eventually the guy came out and of course he laughed. He told me, no, it's okay. Just get out. They're actually friendly dogs.
You knew hapana. Mimi.
Niliteremsha kakio kidogo hivi. Unajua vinyoteremshaka ni kama kunanyesha. Nikamwambia, I'm not getting out until you lock those beasts. And eventually he locked them. Came out, did my thing, and I left. Hizo vitu sipendangi umbo, bro.
They're actually very gentle creatures.
It's okay. Let them continue being gentle. They can be gentle away from me. I am definitely not interacting with those beasts.
You're not a dog lover, are you?
I love them from a distance. We used to have dogs for sure.
You are not a dog lover.
Yeah, I'm not.
Somebody who's a dog lover would respond very different. I actually love dogs. So
I'm not a pet person. So I'm not a cat person. I'm not a dog person. I am not a person of those animals.
Me, I'm not a snake person. Yes.
Okay.
So you can tell me the snake is gentle and it's nice. That's fine.
It's okay.
And I agree with you. Yes.
Remayego amesema tuned in from Melbourne, Australia. Good stuff. These guys, Melbourne, that is, they have some amazing football clubs.
We're only under Australia.
Sijawahi fika Australia.
Why not, bwana?
Nitajipanga.
It is important for you to go to Australia so that you can tell me stories of Australia.
Nitakwambia. But naweza kakwambia kitu kimoja for sure, they have amazing football clubs.
Football.
Both women and men clubs. Awesome teams. Yeah, and they play good football for sure. Douglas Kibogongo amesema, morning RG, my proverbs, even a small smile is a smile.
Oh,
Tafakari.
how right he was. Oh, he is rather.
There are the people who smile like this. You can see all their 32 teeth, and then there are those who are just like...
Yeah, those are smiles that these pink relatives of ours have, the ones we call white. The ones who smile like that.
Yeah.
It's like they flash it on and off.
Yeah.
Okay? So I sometimes think there's a twitch in the face, a muscle in the face has twitched.
Yeah, it's
That's
not
what-
really a smile.
No, that's what brings about that.
That's
Like
why.
somebody's beaming a light on you.
Yeah. It is what it is. All right. Thank you for that, Douglas Kibugong. Now, let us get into this lovely website that is radiogeneration.co.ke. About 946 million spent on e-citizen services that remain inactive.
Okay.
946 million has been spent on e-citizen services that remain inactive.
Okay.
So there are services within e-citizen that are not used, but we are paying for their maintenance and so on and so forth. Let's just see what this is all about, right? Kenya's push to digitize public services has come under scrutiny after... Yeah, let me say this again. Kenya's push to digitize public services has come under scrutiny after a new audit revealed that nearly 1 billion has been spent on the e-citizen platform, or rather that nearly 1 billion spent on e-citizen platform has largely failed to yield results. Most of the services added to the platform remain dormant, raising serious questions about planning, execution, and the value of the government's investment. Auditor General Nancy Gavungu reviewed the platform for the period ending June 30th, 2025, and found that of the 28,373 services onboarded, only 5,731 are actively being used. This means more than 22,600 services, or 80%, have gone unused since their deployment. Despite the low uptake, the government spent 946 million paying vendors to add these services to the system. The Auditor General noted that it is impossible to confirm whether this spending delivered any meaningful value. Yeah, umesikia City?
Nasikia vizuri sana.
Kuna some 22,000 services, Kwanza hii ina sound kama ile pesa ya capitation, 22,600 services, or 80% have gone unused. So the taxpayer is spending close to 1 billion on these services, and yet they are not even being used.
Yes, but let me ask the question. When they were set up, were they for immediate use,
Yeah.
or were they in preparation for a time that hasn't arrived yet? Because we are now in 2026.
Yes, we are.
And this was last year. Okay? We haven't had an audit for this year, so we do not know whether at the time, when this was run June last year, that in the interim, they're actually working. Do we know this? No, we do not know. So I will wait until there's an audit that covers this particular period, then we will understand. But while we are waiting, can those who set it up explain to us what these services are, what they were intended for, and when they were supposed to be operationalized?
I remember the president did say during the first days of his presidency that, he's going to make sure that every single government service is digitized, so that Kenyans don't have to travel long distances to come to Nairobi, for example, for services that they can actually get online. Which is a good thing. I remember he also said that they'll try and see if they can get county services integrated into the e-citizen platform. So that means if you're applying for your licenses, for your business permits, for your whatever it is that you need to apply at the county level, you don't need to go to your county headquarters to apply for these services. You just go online, apply, print the damn thing, and then start using it. Lakini sasa kama tuko na 22,600 services zenye ziko hapa na hazitumiki.
How many services does the e-citizen platform have in total?
Yeah, according to that, it is 28,373 services.
Total, that's the services has.
Yeah, that is the total amount. Then the only ones that are being currently used, 5,731. Those are the active ones. And the Auditor General says that that's 20% of that 28,000.
Okay. All right. Tungoje
tusikie. Haya. Wanasemanga hivi kule Mount Kenya region, reke tuone mani. Now, Kericho building collapse leaves 4 critically injured as 22 are rescued. Buildings are falling all over this
With this
country.
range, we were told this. We were told. Former Senator
Kasanga
told us great clarity that very many more buildings were going to collapse. Now, with these rains, I'm assured that wasn't a prophecy. It was a professional talk about the safety of the buildings we have, which emanates from the manner in which they, not are constructed. The process by which they are constructed or they're allowed to be constructed is flawed.
Actually, Mheshimiwa alisema, we are very lucky in this part of the world. You don't experience things like earthquakes.
Tungekuwa na shida.
Alisema earthquakes zingetingika hapa Kenya. Alikuwa anasema hakuna estate ingekuwa imesimama saizi. Because obviously we haven't built them to withstand such kinds of stresses.
What have we built them to withstand, really? Because with the rains, people are already experiencing some very serious problems in the buildings that they have.
True, I agree. There's a place I used to live in Kahawa Wendani. And that building city, ulikuwa unakaa tu hivi tu, unaangalia ukuta yako unaona iko na, hata si ukuta ndio kitu tunakuanga juu ceiling. Unaona tu crack. Crack. Do you know how scary that is?
Not when you move. Because the next thing, unaweza kushtuka your building ime crack in half.
When your neighbors upstairs decide to start biology classes, that thing can come down any moment.
It can. One moment you're sitting quiet in your sitting room, the next moment you've been joined.
There in your sitting room.
And you think, hi neighbors.
And then another one, you could see, I used to visit my friends. It was an adjacent building, and I used to visit my friends there. And every time I would go in there, I would tell them, guys, do we have to sit in here for long? Can we go outside?
Yes.
And they were walikuwa huko 5th floor, I think 5th, 6th floor, somewhere there about.
Did that building have a lift?
No, it didn't. Zile buildings zilijengwa in the early 2000s, so hako wameanza kufikiria kwa kama lift kwa hizo maji.
Bro, the requirement for the lift was there in the year 2000.
Yeah, they just didn't do it. You know, we're talking about Kahawa and Dan here.
I am aware.
I'm not talking about Kirisiri or Karen.
Bro, those laws don't apply to places.
I know.
Yes.
But unajua Kahawa and Dan kwa kina nani city? Huko ni kwa kina Bogua. Unajua Bogua? Unajua Bogua? Akina Bogua hawaekagi hizo mavitu unasema ati rift, sijui escalator.
Yes.
For why?
Yeah.
So every time I would visit these guys, because the building, so it looked, I don't know how to describe this building, but it looked like paper mache.
It was just there.
It looked like paper mache, something that had just been put together. Yeah. So every time I would visit them, I'd actually be very worried, because you'd feel watu wakitembea huko nje building inatingika.
Are you serious?
I swear. When the neighbor is playing loud, and you know we're talking about bed sitters here. When the neighbor is playing loud music, you can feel the building vibrating. So I'd tell these guys, we can actually go hang out in the pub out there. We don't have to sit in here. But we used to enjoy playing, PlayStation and other games, but I was never comfortable in those buildings. I am glad I moved from that area. Those buildings are still standing by there. They haven't collapsed. So maybe it was just me being afraid. But
No. The moment people start abrogating building codes,
yes,
the moment they start taking shortcuts,
right,
it's just a question of time.
Yeah. It's like in a Bogu at Joroge. Those ones, they know how to cut corners, Anasemaga hii simiti zile zimweke yote. Hii ukikoroga mara mbili si hivyo. I mean,
they are not the only ones who know how to cut corners, bro. Kenyans have all caught that particular flu.
Right. Yeah.
All across the country, you will find that some really dodgy characters are the ones who are involved in the things that are supposed to make human life tenable and pleasant.
Yeah.
But these dodgy characters, whose sole purpose seems to be to evade as much of the law as they possibly can.
Right.
Newsflash. It catches up with
It does.
you.
It does. And, because in Kahawa and Dani, every other month you'd see a new building just spring out of nowhere. Like mulipita hapa last week, there was absolutely nothing. Maybe some excavation. A month later, you pass through the same place. Unaona now open 2-bedroom house. And you're like, I swear last month haikuwa. Akina Joroge na Bogu wakiamua, mambo inafanyikaga huko, my friend. So it is what it is, man. One last one before we get into the traffic updates. Forgery suspect arrested at JKIA over falsified academic credentials. Let's see who's this. A man wanted for serious forgery offences was arrested on arrival at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, JKIA, on Tuesday. The suspect, identified as Victor Ocheng Odhiambo, was intercepted by immigration officers moments after arriving from South Korea on Etihad Airways flight EY768. Acting on a prior stop order issued by the officer in charge of immigration, the authorities immediately halted his entry and placed him under arrest. Investigations indicate that Odhiambo faces charges of forgery under Section 345, read with Section 349 of the Penal Code, as well as uttering a false document under Section 353. The offences reportedly stem from a calculated act of deception at Kenya Pipeline Company. According to detectives, Odhiambo allegedly forged a Bachelor of Engineering in Electrical and Electronics degree certificate, serial number that one, purportedly issued on 19th December 2008. So why is this like a person of interest? I mean, he's obviously committed a crime here. But why did they, for you to kungojea, we have a lot of forged people certificates around the country, but this one specifically ni kama walimngojea, walijua jamaa anatoka South Korea, akasema haya get ready, jamaa akafika hivi and boop kashikwa.
Alikuwa anangojea sio?
What is significant about this gentleman?
We'll get to hear more of it, because as far as I'm concerned, if we are discussing something as serious as forgery, and you say forged papers, was he a forger? Meaning, was he somebody who facilitated forging documents? That one I would understand, because that now wouldn't a criminal. Okay, but if he had a forged document, what was this forged document that would warrant his arrest, and why was he not arrested?
A fake degree certificate.
So you arrest people because they're fake degree certificates?
Yeah, according to this particular news article.
I think that story hasn't been presented well. I don't think so. I think the fake degree is just a mention of the many things that this guy is accused of forging.
Okay.
But there's something about the talents that these guys seem to claim he has that has broken the law somewhere. But it doesn't seem to have come out clearly in that article. Yes.
Unless it is just part of the very many crimes that he has committed. Maybe he forged things at Kenya Pipeline Company, probably even sold that company. For all we know, perhaps, I don't know, he sold it to some Koreans somewhere, and then they're like, this man sold a fake company. So I don't get it, man. I don't get, acha tutauliza nani aliandika historia, acha nikwambie nani aliandika historia ndio tujue venye tutaifuatilia. Hii imeandikwa na Bradley Bosire. Okay, Bradley Bosire, hebu tuambie what's up with this story? Because I mean, we've had very many people who've been fired from their places of work because of forged certificates and so on and so forth. Why this one has been arrested and taken into custody is beyond me. Anyway, let's check out what's happening on the roads of Nairobi.
Traffic.
I'm looking at Ngong Road. It is now 6:31 a.m. Let me just refresh this to make sure that I'm getting the latest. Yeah, Ngong Road iko sawa kabisa. Hamna shida nyinyi. Valley Road inakaa iko fiti. Agwings Kothek, Dennis Sprit, Gitanga Road, Southern Bypass, Langata Road, Bogani, uko Kwote Bogani Road, Langata. Yani basically Nairobi is looking good. However, pale Magadi Road, this is now from where Exciting Hotel kule Liza Hill Academy. Hapo kidogo iko shida na imeenda njia yote ikaenda ikashikana ile Agataka Road. That's why we have a little bit of traffic, but everything else seems to be moving okay. Let's check out Thika Super Highway. Si mnajuanga tu kwa mnakwanga mmekwamana wase. Need I tell you? But I'll tell you either way. If you're coming into Utalii Hotel, just that area of Survey basically as you're heading towards Pangani, bumper to bumper. If you're coming from Kiambu Road as well, you know the drill. Huko kumeshikana. So it's either you turn back, look for an alternative road, of which I honestly can't see one. As in, what when you're on Shuku City, what do they do? People who live here, and then there's all this traffic. Like there's literally no alternative route. It's not like Mombasa Road where you can decide to take the bypasses, the several bypasses actually that are there. It's not like you can take the expressway. Here you just sit in traffic and just say, you know what?
You asked what you do?
Kinda, yeah.
Wake up earlier.
Yeah.
push the government to bring mass public transport. Yes.
Anyway, so ilisemekana wanajengewa express kutoka September. Wish them all the best. Also, if you go back all the way to Kenyatta University as well, there's lots and lots of traffic on that particular road. Alafu kuna Kamiti Road pia huko hivyo, kuna Kako Fiti Mirema. Huko mnasonga vizuri tena sana. Wacha tuangalie Mombasani. Mombasani watu waambaje, watu wansemaje? Trafiki ipo ama haiko? Msongamano upo au upo? Naangalia picha hapa ya Mombasa Island. Island yenyewe iko sawa kabisa. Island inaitwa kwa Kiswahili kisiwa. Kisiwa kiko sawa kabisa. Hamna shida yote, naona barabara za songa vyema. Nikiangalia kwa mfano pale Mzima naona kila kitu kiko salama kabisa. Maalim Juma Mohamed Road iko sawa. Coinage Road, Sheikh Abdullah iko sawa kabisa. Baringo Road, Moi Avenue, Ronald Ngala. Mombasa kweli wanasema ni raha, na leo najionea raha kweli kweli. Asante kabisa. Acha tuingie katika magazeti. Leo tutaanza na People Daily kama kawaida. Tutone wanasema ni Kenya's coffee will revival efforts finally pay off. Kenya's coffee will revival efforts finally pay off. What happened to our coffee business?
It actually has been on the up and up. Last year, the year before, this year, the coffee business has been very good.
Yeah. Okay. Because I remember when I was in high school, actually when I was in primary school, where we were being taught, some of the things that Kenya does in terms of exports and imports. We export lots of tea, coffee, flowers. Nakumbuka tuliambua cat, aka miraa. Now I am looking at this and I'm asking myself, Anyway, good stuff.
The coffee business is still good.
Yeah.
It is.
Okay.
It hasn't gone down. Tea has been a constant. But now with a country like Iran at war, Iran buys a lot of tea from us.
Yes.
So that Sudan buys a lot of tea from us.
Right.
So with their wars, we do have a bit of a problem. Yes.
Okay. Okay, so that means that, but with minus the wars, everything would be okay.
Yes, it would be.
Yeah.
It would be.
All right.
The usual complaints that there are middlemen who are constantly short-changing the farmer, blah, blah. Those are constant conversations.
These middlemen, these brokers.
Yes. And the need for value addition to be entrenched in the country so that Kenyan tea is packaged. But we already have people who are doing value addition in Kenya. With the coffee, I'm not so certain.
Yeah.
I know that we moved the processing of coffee a notch higher. So beyond just plucking it and roasting it, we had gone a step further. But how much further we have gone, I don't know. Okay, remember, we have neighbors who actually produce wonderful coffee.
Yes.
They're these fellows called Ethiopians. Very good coffee.
Akin Arabic and nini.
Very good.
We were told by the gentleman here from Tuju City that in that Tuju area, they actually have some coffee.
Yeah, but that was coffee growing area, just so that you understand.
Yes.
Before it was farmland. Rundal, it was farmland.
Yeah.
Before it was now turned into real estate. Yeah, so people did grow coffee.
Now, when we had that Tuju City thingy,
conversation thingy.
Yeah. They gave me a bag of coffee beans. My friend, iyo coffee yao ni tamu. I usually grind the beans. And then Niko na grinder.
Hey, manze,
Niko mbele bro.
Head bro.
Lakini grinders unaweza buy hata za 700 ukitaka, depending on where you look. Yes, but the point is I grind this coffee and it has got this awesome aroma, my friend.
Maridadi kabisa.
Ukichemusha hiyo kitu kila mtu kwa nyumba anajua Mbuvi is having coffee. Your neighbors even will know, yani Mbuvi today is having coffee. It's I don't know how to describe it. But yeah, Hustler Heist, still on the People Daily. Default Financial Malpractice Dog Rutos Fund. This is a Hustler Fund, watu waliolipa. But juzi nimesikia serikali ikisema they are now coming after you. So if you know you owe Hustler Fund money, please, kindly, tuache hii tabia ya kuiba pesa ya serikali. Tuachie politicians hiyo kazi. Sisi tusiibe. Because tukiiba, then we have no moral authority to point at fingers at them and telling them that they are corrupt, they are bad. because they'll be like, si hata nyinyi mlitoka na hustler fund.
You know, this kicking the can down the road with regards to corruption and theft, it's not as though you become less of a thief if you point fingers at others. You're still a thief.
Right.
Yeah. So the theft that you indulge yourself in is yours. Yes.
You know, the Kenyans, I know for a fact because I am friends with these people. Someone alichukua tu na akasema hii wallahi silipi. And they moved on with their life.
And what reason did they give for that particular attitude?
Hii pesa ni yetu.
Oh, I see. So if it's yours, you don't pay it back?
Yeah, you don't.
Okay.
Take it.
And now that they've kept it, has their lives changed significantly? Are they better off?
I mean, we're talking about the usual 500s.
I'm asking the same question. So you've taken this bold, giant step for mankind, and you have defied the government. You've taken their 500 shillings,
right,
and you've refused to pay. And then?
See, that's it. It is what it is.
Man, think of something a little more significant, for heaven's sake.
I know. Yeah. That's where we are.
The momentarily feeling of you defied the government. 500 bob.
500 bob city.
Righto.
Aya, Oburu's kitchen cabinet inside the team of loyalists that want power. There you have it. You can check it out on page 4 of the People Daily. Daily Nation front page wanasema courting trouble. And then they're calling it a slugfest. So here is a picture of the president, former DP Gachagua, former vice president Kalonzo Musyoka, and of course former cabinet secretary Dr. Fred Matiang'i. Wanasema President William Ruto and opposition leaders Rigathi Gachagua, Kalonzo Musyoka, and Fred Matiang'i locked in a bitter war of words. The president yesterday defended the insults he hurled at his rivals, saying they had provoked him. NCIC wanasema hivi, growing inflammatory statements risk undoing progress in fostering cohesion. IEBC wanasema raising cases of political intolerance and violence undermine fair competition. The clergy, when leaders wash dirty linen in public, it erodes their moral standing. And then of course civil society wanasema state-sponsored goons targeting critics undermines democratic gains. There's a video doing rounds. I don't know if you've seen this, City, but there's a video doing rounds of this man who was at a Gachagua rally. Then he started shouting, "Two-term."
I think you forgot something.
Where? Eh? The way that man was clobbered, I hope he's alive. Yeah. So that is what they're saying. Courting trouble, theater of the absurd. That's the front page of the Daily Nation. Triumphant police officers back from Haiti again. Police officers returning from a peacekeeping mission in Haiti celebrate at the Embassy Garrison in Nairobi on Tuesday night. The contingent, led by Inspector General of Police Douglas Kanja, was received by Interior Principal Secretary Raymond Omolo as Kenya began withdrawing troops from the war-torn Caribbean nation. By the way, kuna kitu tulifanya huko, eh? Like, did you bring any kind of change?
Where?
In Haiti.
Yes, we did.
All right. So the people there are more peaceful than we found them.
Yes, we did a splendid job, actually.
Yeah.
Yes.
Apart from the few Kenyans that we lost, everything equal timam.
Yes.
All right. Buyer of auctioned Tuju property linked to Starbucks. Is it just Starbucks?
They deal in oil or something.
Also,
they sell oil to the small independent oil outlets.
Yeah, and they are actually a petrol station in Uganda.
Yes, but they've been around for some time.
Ultra Eureka Limited, the firm that bought Rafael Tuju's current property through a public auction in 2024, has a connection to Starbucks International. Rumor also has it, City, that Starbucks International is owned by President William Ruto.
Well, while we're at it, can we decide what it is that President Ruto doesn't earn? Because from everything I hear, he owns everything. So what doesn't he own?
Actually, history of Starbucks nilisikia way before history of Tuju.
Yes.
Like months ago.
You were hearing of it months ago. The story of Tuju is almost 11 years old. Okay?
Yeah.
So every time I hear it, more questions arise. Okay? The uniqueness of this particular venture, the entity that lent the money, people who don't lend you money because they like you. Yeah. They lend you money because it makes business sense and they understand that you're able to pay it back. So these twists and turns that have occurred, I've heard of them.
Right.
I've been in an interview panel where the former minister explained his trials and tribulations and the wherefores of his case. But the more he explained it, the more questions came to my mind. Very many individuals get loans from these institutions. Why is it that we do not have the saga that we have here?
Yeah.
11 years ago, it was the Uhuru government. This same gentleman was the Secretary General of Jubilee at some point. Said gentleman was a minister.
Actually, he was a CS with no portfolio.
Yes, exactly. So I'm simply saying, what is it about this situation that has brought it to the head now? Why was this thing not resolved at the time when it first began? What is it? I know there were court cases. I know these issues went up to the level of the UK, where apparently the deal was signed. I also know that in the interim, there was blame regarding Supreme Court judges. These waters are truly muddied. So even as you sift, you do not know which is what and which we have.
Who is why?
Why? Yes, exactly. There's so much dust around this.
Yeah.
Okay? Why? Why?
It's our city. Perhaps ile siku moja tukipata nafasi tuweze kuongea na Mheshimiwa Tuju, maybe atatueleza. Ameshamwalika.
Mimi mwenyewe nilimwandikia nikamwalika.
Haya. Yes. Tukipata nafasi atatuambia tu maybe. Na pia tusipopata nafasi, si tunasoma kwa magazeti kama haya.
Kusoma kwa magazeti, the newspapers will not tell you the whole story. Now, if it's a features article where you are given a blow-by-blow report, you're given the processes, the court cases, the rulings, if you're given all that, then you may have a semblance of understanding. But the twists and turns in this case are many. Yes.
Uzuri, you can also get these records from the courts, because at this rate they are public.
They are public.
Public, yeah.
The determination of the courts are in the public domain.
Yeah, so utaenda tu kwa utaipata eventually kama itaisha tu alafu uone so this is what happened. Teachers Service Commission warns 1.4 billion gap in medical cover hurt tutors. Now the Teachers Service Commission cautions a 1.4 billion shortfall in medical cover allocation could force hospitals to turn away teachers from May due to delayed payments. But I thought they sorted this thing like last week.
They're still sorting it out, man.
Ama ilikuanga stories za jaba.
They are still sorting it out, bwana.
Uko na gazeti gani hapo City?
Mimi niko na ile gazeti.
Right.
Naitwa what's that newspaper called? It is called The Star.
All right.
Right. Former county boss now. Where nani kitu? Can you please just behave? Ngoja kidogo. Technology. Naletea mimi S, which is short for Shida. Former county boss now pleading for state job. All right. I'm ready to roll in the mud with you, Ruto tells Gachagua and Matiang'i. Right. Have you heard of mud wrestling? Fantastic to watch. Why? You sleep more than you do anything else.
Yeah.
You get up and you feel now you're going to charge.
And it's funny.
It is hilarious.
Yeah.
And the thing is, after a while, you can't recognize the individuals. You don't even know who is who.
Yeah.
Because everybody is muddied and they're all looking the same.
Okay?
So this is what we are being told, that I'm going to be like you soon. Right. Got you? Renowned Nairobi bishop embroiled... Renowned Nairobi bishop embroiled in sex scandal.
Do we know the bishop?
I am going to give the bishop a pass. Uburu camp wants to misuse you. Sifuna team tells Winnie.
Ati Sifuna did what?
Uburu camp wants to misuse you. Sifuna team tells Winnie. Okay? All right.
This is now Winnie Odinga.
It can't be Winnie Mandela, can it?
It could be. We have several Winnies in this country, bro.
I know.
And I'm sure we have several Winnies in ODM.
Yes, I'm sure.
Yeah. But I saw Winnie the other day kwa mkutano fulani hapo wakisema ilikuanga na kina Aladwa wakisema they want to front Winnie to be the one of the 4 deputy party leaders of ODM. And I was like, And I couldn't see anyone else from the Linda Mwananchi team. I didn't see Babu Owino, so I was kind of confused. I was like, okay, what's happening?
It means negotiations have taken place and people have come to an understanding. That's what it means.
So Winnie has left the Linda Mwananchi.
I'm not certain whether she has left or she is there.
Yeah.
All I know...
Or she was never there to begin with.
I do not know. All I know is that negotiations have taken place. Because according to what I read this morning,
right,
Winnie has said it is okay. She can deputize her uncle, Baba Mkubwa. Yeah, according to what I read today. If what I read resembles any form of truth. Sawa, politics.
Sasa kina Sifuna wanaambia Winnie, my friend, kule unaenda kudanganywa.
Unajua nini?
Ama wanakudanganya tayari.
Sasa mimi uongo iliyopo mbona mimi sielewi. Yes.
Anyway, carry on.
You know, there's something that is interesting that you should bear in mind. There are many public figures who have had problems that are similar to Nanios, to Tujus. Okay? It is said that after the 1992 election, there's a gentleman called Kenneth Matiba. Kenneth Matiba was known to be an extremely wealthy man.
Okay.
Had hotels, has business and all. Okay? It is then said that he was facing foreclosure by a leading bank. Walikuwa wamesema huyu jamaa mazee pesa yetu lipa. At that particular point in time, President Moi intervened and prevailed over the bank and gave him more time. In 2022,
yes,
his estate was still said to owe around 620 million. Why am I bringing this up? I am saying that people who have been involved in politics, it is not the first time we are encountering another individual in politics who is said to owe financial institutions. The finger is always pointed to the financial institutions, but the question is, did he owe the money? It's not really complicated, that one, is it?
It's not.
Yes, so if he didn't owe, when was he supposed to have paid it? Simple enough question, okay? And if he hasn't paid it, what are the circumstances that have led to it? Okay? And if this matter has been in court, what have the courts said about this?
Okay.
Right.
All right.
So, there are individuals, however, who are well-to-do, got into politics, and were financially crippled. There are people who never actually survived after that. They went into oblivion, and we've even forgotten them.
All right.
Okay? Tuko sawa hapo, brother?
Kabisa.
Bang in the middle of the star, audit. The figure has bamboozled my mind, and instead of reading 15, I'm reading 1.5. 15.2 billion hustler fund loans may go down the drain. Auditor General says...
15 what?
0.2 billion.
Bwana, hii kitu last year ilikuanga 6 billion.
Yes.
Hii kitu last year walisema ile imepotea ni 6 billion.
That was last year.
And it was last year towards, let's say mid last year. This thing was 6 billion.
Yeah, this is this year towards the middle of this year.
And then I remember they asked for some extra like 5 billion to add into the fund so that Kenyans can continue borrowing.
There was that statement. Even this year, the statement was made.
So even if they lost that extra 5 billion, so add 5 to 6, that's 11 billion.
Yes.
Then now you're reading 15.2 billion.
I'm reading it, yes.
Anyway, carry on.
Thank you. Auditor General says her review revealed weaknesses in loan recovery, financial reporting, and internal controls. So hapa mimi nafikiria, my own opinion.
Hapo kwa financial reporting.
No, internal controls ndio nafikiria iko shida. Because financial controls, hiyo sio shida. Si kuna mahali unafinya on, unaweza kuchukua loan. Unachukua off, unaweza kuchukua loan. So hapo sidhani kama kuna shida.
Okay.
Hii internal controls ni you're on. Is it really on or is it off? Is it off or is it really on? Okay?
This thing was 6 billion last year.
Look, if you ask my opinion, I do not know whether it was 2 billion. I do not know whether it was 1 billion.
Yeah.
I only know what is reported.
Yes.
And I cannot speak authoritatively about those figures because they don't make sense to me.
Exactly. I remember very well they said, some 6 billion has been lost in the hustler fund. I was like, what? 6 billion manze wa Kenya walipe pesa. Actually, even in the morning, I mean, early on when I was reading about that on the People Daily, In my head, I was just like, this is ile 6 billion wa Kenya likataa kulipa. I mean, it's a lesson learned for Hustler Fund. They probably know better. They've lost an extra 9 billion.
Yo, ulikuwa nasoma kwa gazeti gani?
People Daily.
Let me just say this, my brother. There are very many things. Okay?
Wow.
Right. Let's look at the standard, shall we?
Please.
I am going to start with bang in the middle of the paper. Failed mission. Mudavadi returns from Moscow empty-handed.
Actually, that is bang on the whole paper.
As you've correctly put it, they bang it right and the entirety of the paper. So this paper...
And then the Standard are using a very interesting picture of PCS Mudavadi. Unajua wanasemanga mtu akitaka kumaliza anatafutanga picha yani ile yako yenye inakaa yani uko na stress kabisa. In this photo, Honorable Mudavadi looks like he is in, you know, that place where you do not want to go when you're depressed.
The man is jet lagged, Bwana. Moscow, you know,
Moscow, jet lag.
Yeah, Moscow is not around the corner. It's not like that the guy went to Zambia. Moscow is far, and it's winter.
You are reading something. That's good.
Thank you so much. Russia unmoved by grieving Kenyan families. CAF brings disrepute to AFCON in Senegal saga rekindles injustices. Tuliongelea jana, sindio? So this thing, right. Unapologetic Ruto keeps up attack on opposition. You know, in the spirit of honesty.
Yes.
Okay? This mudslinging is very good. This way you ask me, why do I think this mudslinging is good?
Why do you think it's good?
Well, thank you, Mbuvi. Now that you've asked,
yes,
let me just explain.
Right.
You see, when leaders descend to these particular levels of communication,
right,
we get a rare opportunity to see them in their unguarded moments. Okay? Now, that is unless these leaders have decided that this is something that they are going to do in order to distract us from other things. So we focus on the mudslinging and not focus on other things that may be pertinent to us.
Okay.
Yes, it is for that reason.
So you're saying that this is a game, this is a play that these guys are doing?
If it is the case, then we are being diverted. Our attention is being diverted and we are being entertained briefly as they call each other names and suggest all manner of things about each other.
Yeah.
They leave it to your imagination. So the imaginations are fully occupied in Kenya right now. And if our imagination is occupied, we forget that the rains are with us. We forget that the deluge is still on its way.
Yeah.
We forget that there are people who've been displaced. We forget that there are people who still are facing starvation, and they are in the millions, not 1 or 2.
Yeah.
They're above 3. We forget that there is a lot that could happen because of the rains. The roads could be washed away. Buildings could collapse. We are not talking about the preparedness in the event of these catastrophes.
Yeah.
Those are the things that we are sacrificing at the altar of these altercations that we see now taking place among our top politicians.
Right.
But if it's a question of entertainment, this is high-value entertainment, guy. Yes, do not mistake it for a single second.
Rigathi Gachagua said yesterday, nilikuwa nataka akasirike na amekasirika. Sasa tumemleta level yetu. Sasa tutapatana naye. Tulikuwa nataka ashuke aache kuwa presidential. So now he's no longer presidential. So they, according to former DP Gachagua, they have achieved exactly what they wanted to achieve.
No pay or pardon for Kenyans in Russia war, says Mudavadi. Okay? Tumewacha hapo. Linda Mwananchi explains planned parallel convention. Okay? Umesikia hiyo?
Ndimesikia.
Right. Why World Bank has banned PwC Kenya for 21 months.
Here because of the dealings in Kenya, Rwanda, and another country?
Let that be. But there's something which concerns me, and this is the one I want to read. Why earnings from sale of oil and minerals won't be invested locally. That is what we're being told. So when you hear and when we talk about a sovereign fund, where are these things going to be invested?
Right.
Talking about not investing locally. Had we foreseen the problem in the Middle East? No, we did not. So now that the Middle East is such that you can barely even fly in there, what do you think then happens if you had some money stashed in the Middle East?
Right now, accessing that money is a problem.
Yes. Google set up a center for communication, blah, 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 XYZ.
This one Google, the one that we know.
Google.
Okay, all right.
Iran
Blew up that Google center.
Iran seemed to have prepared very carefully. Any Western infrastructure that made business possible in the Middle East seems to be targeted in one way or the other.
Okay.
Next, you'll hear they're targeting banks. They're already targeting real estate. Now, what does that tell you? It tells you, we were discussing it yesterday, that there are people who are going to look at this whole thing and say, do you really want to stay here? And the answer is going to be no. People from the UK who left because, well, the UK had this tax and that tax and the other tax, moved to Bahrain, moved to the UAE, blah, 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 blah. Now, it's not tenable. So what do? Where are you going to go back to? You look for some of these very many small islands where people live and they don't bother with too many things.
Akina St. Lucia.
Yeah, they even allow you to buy a citizenship if you have enough money.
Akina St. Kitts.
Yes, uende ukae huko. Zipo, okay? But it means that's a loss for the Middle East. If you look at the petrodollar that was invested in attracting Europeans, the expatriate community, that seems to be going up in smoke.
You know, it will, like we like to call them, the international community will need to reevaluate this situation.
Yes.
Going forward.
Who started the war?
America did.
Precisely.
Right.
Their ally.
Yeah.
Right.
Wait, but is it America that said this or is it Israel that said this?
Bro.
For the sake of clarity.
There is clarity. What is the difference in terms of this war?
Okay.
Where is the difference, really? Yes.
So Israel and America did this joint attack on Iran, and now Iran has done what it has done, and I think
it continues to do what it has done. It hasn't stopped.
Inaendelea na sasa imefika mahali. Even President Trump currently is hosting, I think, the King of the United Kingdom, His Royal Majesty, King Charles, and Queen Camilla. And questions have actually been raised about that particular visit and what they're planning to do going forward as far as...
And King Charles going to help him with what?
Maybe. And this is just a maybe.
They have a parliament, my man.
And I know they have a parliament, bro. I know. But I'm just saying that you never know that they might just decide to end this war, mapema, so that the war can continue, the world that is, can stop suffering going forward. You know what I mean?
The British had a nice military installation in a country called Cyprus.
Right.
Boom.
Gone.
They were not in this war, were they?
You know what, City? Let's get into the news. When we return, nataka kusalimia watu wawili watatu hapa, including wale wako Melbourne, Australia, na wenzao wenye wako Mombasa, wengine sijui wako wapi, tutawasalimia punde si punde.
Radio Generation, the home of urban soul. This is the Radio Generation News.
Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga. One person has died while 3 others were rescued following the collapse of a 3-story building in Chesanga Village, Kipchebor Ward, Kericho County. The incident, which occurred yesterday, was confirmed by Kericho County Commissioner Jeremiah Mwai Gisheru, who said all relevant agencies from both levels of government were present and took part in the rescue operation.
Kwa tunafanya kazi hapa, tukamaliza tu vizuri. Sasa tulifika ile harakati ya kusukisha hiyo lift yenye inapeleka kokoto juu, ikashukishwa chini. So watu wengine walikuwa wananawa, alafu iko baadhi ya mafundi bado walikuwa wamebaki hapo ndani wakitoa vifaa yenye walikuwa nayo ya kazi. So mimi nilikuwa outside hapo mbali kidogo, nilikuwa napiga simu, na kidogo naona slab inashuka kutoka juu.
Motorists across the country should prepare for a new speed limits as the government moves to address the rising number of road accidents. Transport Cabinet Secretary Davis Chirchir says the current speed limit, rules expired after they were last updated in 2016, creating a gap in regulation. He says the National Transport and Safety Authority is now working on new speed regulations aimed at improving safety on Kenyan roads. Public universities in the country are facing a huge debt crisis, with the total liabilities now exceeding 100 billion Kenya shillings. Higher Education Principal Secretary Beatrice Inyangala told Parliament that the growing debts are straining universities and could threaten the survival of some institutions. Members of Parliament have now demanded urgent answers from the Ministry of Education on how the situation will be addressed.
For the Higher Education Loans Board Honourable Chair, in the previous year, there was a pending bill of 10.6 in terms of unremitted scholarships and appropriated loans, and 32.8 billion this year, again for unappropriated scholarships, which gives a funding gap of 43.4 billion, and that is indicated in the tables.
The universities are not making any effort. Despite you paying 57%, they are not making any effort to reduce the historical pending bills.
Senator Okia Omtata has raised alarm over the rising cases of mobile money fraud in the country. The Busia County Senator says criminals are using stolen or leaked personal data to trick unsuspecting Kenyans and steal money through mobile transactions. Speaking in the Senate, Omtata urged police to act quickly and use technology to track down and dismantle the fraud networks.
These people masquerade with these phones, with these fake numbers and con people. People can be traced, and I say they've got a capacity to do so with IMAs and what have you. So I think there should be a mechanism within the police whereby they take this action seriously. Just the other day, somebody was trying to con me. I applied for a new meter back in my village, and I don't know how that information got in the hands of the fraudsters, who called me just as I received a bill of 156,000 shillings.
Qatar has confirmed a missile attack by Israel that targeted the country's main gas facility at Ras Laffan Industrial City. In a statement on Wednesday, Qatar's Ministry of Foreign Affairs said the strike caused several fires and significant damage to the facility. However, Qatar's Ministry of Interior says the fire has largely been brought under control and no injustices have been reported. And that's the truth on Radio Generation. Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the guests and do not necessarily reflect the views of Radio Generation. Radio Generation assumes no responsibility or liability for the interviewee's views. This is Radio Generation. In the beginning, there was morning radio. But now there is Radio Generation's The People's Breakfast. Curious and bold, getting facts from the shadows.
That's what it is.
Now, as the city wakes and secrets stir, a bright new voice shines. The People's Breakfast. Your morning, your voice, your journey. Good morning.
Good morning, my neighbor.
Welcome to the home of hard truths and bold insights. Radio Generation.
A very good morning to you. Welcome back to Radio Generation. It is now 6 minutes past 7 o'clock. We're about to have our first morning conversation. And this particular morning, we want to focus on politics versus the insults. But before I introduce our guests, this is the People's Breakfast. You're on 88.8 FM. Na kuna watu hapa ningependa ni wasalimie. Hesbon Sidon ameandika message akadelete, but I'm sure it was a good morning message. Then Ref amesema, morning RG, to our leaders be advised with this. If a lion turned every time small dogs barked at it, it would be the laughing stock of the jungle. Okay. Benny Masha amesema, morning listening from Hindi kule Lamu. Robert Koros, Mbuvi is a barrister. Am I a barrister though?
Bro, go with the flow.
Okay, nikubali tu yaishe.
Go with the flow, let's go on, yes.
Aya, Restitute Mutuko amesema, hapa Mombasa ni kucelebrate na biriani. Watu wa Mombasa. Rilesi amesema, good morning, you mean people still read newspapers? Yes, they do. They do.
Let's make it clearer. We do.
Amesema the problem in the Middle East has been a blessing in Kenya's Lamu port. There is a beehive of activities there. Most goods destined for Middle East are being offloaded at Lamu port. And then 2.0 amesema, I don't think mtu anaweza potea na do ya hustler fund. Kuna vile gava itakupata tu cause registration is based on ID na gava iko na mkono mrefu sana. Maybe ukienda kuchukua document fulani ya gava unapatika.
Actually, getting is a lot easier. That gentleman is right.
Yeah.
If the government wants to get you, they'll find you.
Yes. All right.
So kuna simu?
Uko nayo.
The money comes to the phone. That makes it very easy to get you. Paul, I'd like to ask these two gentlemen if they can interpret this proverb we're looking in the morning.
Why don't you do that?
Yes. Our proverbs for this week come from the Republic of Tunisia. Even if he wears a valuable harness, the donkey does not turn into a racehorse.
Mr. Matere, we shall start with you.
Thank you so much. That is quite a proverb. So a donkey, a harness, and a racehorse. So regardless of how you'd want to fashion a donkey, whether you'd want to put some makeup on it, or you'd want to, one way or another improve the appearances, you do not expect it to compete in a race.
I like that. Yes, Mr. Mokaya.
My interpretation of that proverb is rather dual or two-pronged. A donkey has its capacities and its strengths. Its strengths are not particularly to run races. So whatever you want it to look like, its capacities are known and its strengths are known. If you want it to run a race, it will fail terribly. However much you make it to look like a racehorse. But if you want it to carry burden, it will do it in stellar ways. So then the long and short of that proverb to me is you can't gauge a fish by its abilities to climb a tree.
But there are fish that climb trees, yeah? Yeah, I like that one. The city, what do you think?
Well, fish climbing trees, lipstick on a pig. Yes, so
quite the definition.
City. They always say that if you see a tortoise on a tree, then surely somebody placed it there.
You're not in kweli kabisa. That's Otieno Mokaya. He's an advocate and also a youth leader, and he's an aspiring member of parliament. Wakili, ulisema hiyo constituency yenye inaitwaje?
It's a very popular constituency these days because of many reasons. The first reason is that our daughter is breaking records, Ellen Obiri. The other Obiri cannot account for CDF funds. And the third reason is that Mokaya is about to account properly for those funds.
All right. We also have another aspirant. That is Alex Matere. He's the executive director, Youth Breed Kenya. Na amesema billboards zake ziko all over Westlands. Mheshimiwa, yako ni gani?
Alisema wayaki we bro.
Oh, Sini Westlands.
And when you say Westlands, kubwa.
Okay.
Wayaki
but I'm using his words.
I'm also using his words.
Okay.
Wayaki is a thoroughfare. You don't need to be going to Westlands to traverse Wayaki way. So it speaks to visibility.
Sawa city.
Yes.
Ushasema.
Okay, sasa sema kile unichukua hata kusema wewe.
Wacha yeye atuambie Alex. Alex, the constituency is?
So first, let me appreciate for this opportunity to meet you once again. The last time I was here, we were actually sending tribute to my political father, the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga. May his soul continue resting in peace. I think by the same token also, let me express my heartfelt thoughts and prayers with the victims of the Israel-Iran war. We have thousands of Kenyans out there in the Middle East, in Qatar, in Bahrain, in Israel itself, in most parts of that particular area, and they have been affected. Some have lost lives, though there hasn't been Kenyan, but we know nationalities have lost lives. The livelihoods of Kenyans who are out there has been disrupted. So it will just be in order for me first to acknowledge and also pass my regards to them and my best wishes during this tough time. The way my constituent has said, my able constituent, the people of Westlands called and I heeded their call.
Okay.
To represent them in Parliament in 2027 onwards. And they are the stakeholders who put those billboards. I'm not the one. The ones who called are the ones who came through and they said, why not? We will try and amplify the message that you have. And they've been able to put a number of billboards there.
Right.
They have organized meetings for me and have been able also to address and continue activating the networks on the ground.
Okay.
So God willing, I'll be representing Westlands constituency 2027 and beyond.
All right. We wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Wakili zako umeka, I hope umeka huko. Umesema ni wapi yote?
Zangu, you know, we are Christians.
Yes.
And we want to wish our Muslim brothers Eid al-Fitr.
Yeah.
My accent is failing me here.
Usijali.
But I think
Christians are also celebrating Lent, eh? Observing Lent, rather.
As a card-carrying member of the SDA Church,
yes,
I wish to also acknowledge that.
Right.
I think my billboards are in the hearts of people. Some are physically visible, but my billboards are really in the heart of people, especially the young people of Mombasa constituency.
All right. Good stuff. Now, let's get down to business. Politics versus insults. We have all witnessed what has happened in the last couple of days. Former DP Gachagua, President, former CS Fred Matiang'i, and so on and so forth. And let me actually start with you, Mokaya. What do you make of this, like City has called it, I think, a few minutes ago, theater?
There is the place of statesmanship and the mirror of society that leaders hold. It doesn't matter whether you hold a position currently, you held it before. If when people gather and congregate, you're given a microphone to speak, then it speaks to responsibility, that they trust that your words will not, your tongue will not grow bones and hurt people. So it doesn't matter the side where you lean. A leader saying things that are being said is it does not accord respect to the description of a leader. That said, as growing up as kids, my grandfather, Mokaya, said that I was training me on how to survive in the streets. He told me when a dog is barking at you, if you run, you'll get beaten. If you stand or bark at the dog will be surprised. And which human is this barking at me? And it won't bite you. And if it's brave enough to move towards a barking human, then you carry some sand and it remembers that if you dust its eyes, the process of other dogs trying to clear its hides is painful, so it won't come your way. Then there are people who have made it their business to insult other people. The assumption here is that they have the monopoly of insults. And then the wisdom of my grandfather then dictates, if a dog continuously barks at you, you need to remind the dog that you can communicate as a human being, but it's not beyond you to reduce yourself into a dog. And then then it's therefore the imperative to remind the dog that really you're not the only thing that can bark. And if you bark for continuously, then I can even throw sand in your eyes. And then it will be your pain when other dogs try to clear sand from your eyes. It's not new for people to body shame people who don't body shame them back. But if they do that continuously, then they better have perfect bodies, because then when you pick to their weaknesses, they should not cry foul.
Yeah.
Again, without forgetting that it is below leadership to do that. But when it's the business of a dog to bark at you every day, maybe it's your turn to bark at them and tell them I can bark too. So to close this, don't throw stones at people when your house is made of glass.
So what we witnessed rather 2 days ago is the president barking back, because these people have been barking at him, so he wants to show them that he can equally bark, perhaps even louder.
For more than 2 years, we have been entertained with insults at the president, and I want to say this: it's not unique that our president is throwing insults at people. Only that he's unlucky that everything is recorded, everybody has a media house in their pocket. So their insults go wider than other presidents. The first president of this country called Kenyatta.
He was called Jomo Kenyatta.
Jomo Kenyatta used to call people names of some names you can't say, involving people's mothers. The president, but it couldn't go as wide as it went, because then KBC could filter these things out. The second president could say, "Mimi sina roho ya panya." That is not a polite statement.
But it's not an insult.
Which means there are people who had roho ya panya.
But again, is that an insult?
The point is, it wasn't a polite
statement.
But perhaps it was intended not to be polite.
Not that he never insulted someone.
Right.
But he had ways to censor those statements. Mwai Kibaki used to say kumbafu, mafi ya kuku, and other statements. But again, there were no cameras in everybody's pocket. So those statements were not amplified.
But funny enough, we captured them.
Yes. The former president, Uhuru Kenyatta, called my political mentor, Mogoroki, which is really Mwenda Wazimu.
What did your political mentor call him?
He called him things, which touch on his character. He also is remembered in when the Auditor General did not go well with him. He said, "Kuna mujinga mwingine hapa anataka kwenda pale." When you see calling somebody mujinga sitting right in front of you, so then.
Well, how do you distinguish a description and an insult?
Thank you. Thank you for getting me there. That is what we call body shaming. Some descriptions are so accurate, but it's politically incorrect to point them out.
Why? Okay.
So whether you say somebody has big ears, maybe he has big ears. When you say somebody has eaten a lot, maybe they have eaten a lot. But is it something you want to say?
Okay.
That said, chapter 6 speaks to that.
Okay. Leadership and integrity.
Yes, we might not want to go down that road.
Alex, you witness, I don't know, what do you feel about this entertainment?
As you can tell from my facial expression, I think it's a low moment for us as a country. Even by the mere fact that we are here, and that is part of the subject matter that we have to discuss this morning. It's quite unfortunate. I think the level of leadership that we have in this country has sunk since independence, and we continue sinking every single day. Kenya is a highly heterogeneous society, very diverse, about 45 plus ethnic communities. We have different races, we have different creeds, we have different religions. We have diversity even in terms of the physique of the Kenyans that we have. We have those ones that are fat, we have those ones that are slim or thin, we have those ones who are tall, we have those ones who are short, and all manner of matrices that can define the Kenyan people.
Yeah.
And therefore, it's quite unfortunate that at the national political stage, we can sink down to the level of body shaming. And for this one, I charge the president, because he's the one that is holding public office. He's the one that has been given mandate by the Kenyan people to represent them. Article 131 of the Constitution speaks of the authority of the president. And one very interesting one is that is the symbol of national unity.
Yeah.
So as a symbol of national unity, whether I'm tall or I'm short, whether I'm fat or I am thin, I'm supposed to feel Kenyan when I see the presidency in place. And therefore, him stooping that low, I think it's quite unfortunate that he has gone as low as he has done in the past 2 days, trying to body shame the politicians on the other side. For them, definitely they are private citizens. They also have some sort of responsibility to the common mwananchi, but the highest responsibility is with the office bearer, that is the president. Secondly, the Leadership and Integrity Act, it says that a public officer, whether in private or in public, has to conduct themselves in a manner that brings honor and dignity to that particular office that he occupies on behalf of the people. And the president coming out to body shame Kenyans, not necessarily opposition leaders or his adversaries, I think he falls short of the expectations of the Leadership and Integrity Act. And for me, I think it's also a smokescreen, just basically a charade to escape from the real problems that continue to bedevil the country. As we speak, we have about 1 million young people that are not employed. We have guys who are still struggling with fees. We have guys who are struggling with healthcare. We have people who are still struggling with the floods. Even at that particular juncture, it's basically less than a week when we lost almost 50 Kenyans across the country.
So actually, they're now about 69.
Exactly. You can see the numbers, astronomical numbers that have unfortunately been lost. So he continues to engage us in empty rhetoric when the real matters that are actually disturbing Kenyans are quite elusive to him. And as we near about 18 months to the next elections, I believe it's time we have a candid conversation of where we are as a country, where we have fallen short, and how we need to fix it. Because then he's remaining with one budget to implement, and I believe that kind of resources that he is going to have, it will be important for him actually to use it in a prudent manner to change and shape the destinies of Kenyans. Lastly, Sidi will tell you that history repeats itself. That's what Karl Marx said, that the first time it is a tragedy, then the second time is actually a farce. And I'm reminded of history. There was the first president of Chad. He was called Francois Tombal Baye. And Francois Tombal Baye was one of these grotesque African dictators that have ever existed. And one of the things that he did in 1973 when he took up power, because he thought that his cultural and social attributes of the community that he was coming from were superior than anyone else, he made a declaration, an executive declaration, that ministers and civil servants in high office had to go through one of the most egregious pagan initiation ceremonies. It was actually called the Yondo. So you can imagine the ministers, the senior officers in the army, senior civil servants had to go in one of those areas, and they had to be flogged, they had to be whipped, they had to be, there was a bit of facial scaring, there was also a bit of some egregious stamina tests. For instance, you would be naked, then you are forced to, crawl over a nest of ravenous termites, just to be able to be initiated into government. And therefore, I think, as history has taught us, we need to double down on a very serious note on attributes, specifically the narrow prisms of the leaders that we have, lest we now fall into the trap that Tombal Baye put the people of Chad back in history.
That is actually something I'll go and read up on, because it's very crazy.
Not really that crazy.
It is crazy.
Consider the narrative.
Ati nikupatia position ya siasa alafu nikwambia utoe nguo uanze kulalia termites.
Actually, that was just one of the things you did. There were even mock burials where what
you're buried alive.
Yes, mock. So you don't. You're not dead.
Yeah.
The narrative was that he was trying to pull his people away from the influence of the French, and he was trying to inculcate them into their own traditions. The unfortunate thing is he alienated a very large population of his country, especially the north and a bit of the south, where they were Muslims. They're not putting up with those pagan practices at all. It is not difficult for power to infuse someone's mind to the point where their activities have a great divorce from reality. That it's not unusual. Power does that too. Consider, Paul, people whom you know, who at some point or the other have acquired a little, monetary lift, and they, in their own eyes, they think they are rich. They actually change the way they behave, the way they talk, the way they relate to people. Money too, and within a short time, when that money goes back to where it had come from, or some other place, then you find the person you knew before you. They go back. It's the influence, because it's not the money, it's the power that it brings with it. We see it with members of parliament, a very humble, sensible person. Now I'm talking to you too. Very lovely people whom when you meet you like, then they will get those positions, and suddenly they cannot be found, they cannot be seen, they are always very busy. That's power. Nothing wrong with the people. Power does that to you. So now imagine you are a president of a third world banana republic. Okay? President. He doesn't see himself as president, he sees himself as king. Okay? And he feels he has the power to do everything that he can. It is not unusual. And if you look at why it is the European nations got rid of their monarchs and their kings, it was for that reason. Because these people actually thought that it's God. And you're here, so wow, they represented God directly and they could do what they liked. And people, after a while, figured, this is nonsense. Yes. So it's not unusual. One of the reasons why democracy has been heralded as one of the best ways of governing people's aspirations is because at the center of the doctrine of democracy is the people. Okay. Now there are those who, in the elitist thinking, have always said that when you have democracy being practiced in its totality, you then allow a process that brings about change in the lives of people to be determined by people who don't fully understand. That is one of the highest forms of insult I've ever come across.
Yeah.
You don't need to have an academic education to understand what is good for you. You actually don't.
But let me take the president's side for a second here and just try and understand him, because I have actually been in a place whereby people are always throwing things at you, they're insulting you and they're telling you things, and for a while you take it. But you realize, if I let this go on, it might get to a point whereby we will never get rid of it. So you have got to fight back. Perhaps that is what the president is doing. He's trying to tell them that, look guys, if you want us to go to the mud, you know what, I can actually take you there myself. Perhaps that is what we are witnessing with the president, Mokai.
I joke around with my friends and tell them, even borrowing from the proverb that we started with.
Yeah.
Our abilities are known. But our abilities are known more by people around us than ourselves. People know what you can be. And we say in my backyard that your stories will go around you, but rarely will they find you. You'll get people know truths about you that you don't know about yourself. Such is life. But again, your abilities are tested by the things you allow yourself to go through. If your phobia is that you see a door of a lift as a gates of hell, the only way you know how tolerant you are to lifts is actually walk into that lift and then discover whether you are going to die. Truth is, you might not die, but at least you faced your fears. You think you are civilized. You think you are above some things until you get tested. When we were young, I don't know how old I am right now, looking at City on the opposite side. There's something called Mchongwano.
Would you be more comfortable if you considered as age mates?
Thank you. Now this conversation can go on. There's something called Mchongwano in our younger.
They used to call it
Mutengwano. That Mchongwano was savage because you were insulting each other with an audience. And the best insulter won the competition. But there were boundaries. We didn't, when it gets into some level, Mchongwano was limited to me.
Yes, you did not go around.
Please insult me. You don't go to my brother, even if he's cheering right there. Actually, you don't even go to my parents. Because the moment you touch my parents, the moment you touch on my brother, even worse, the moment you touch people I believe to have the duty to protect, including my sister or my mother, then Mchongwano ends there.
Now a war begins.
A war begins. It was actually not a declaration of a war. It was the beginning of a war, and that war had no rules. Teeth were involved, punches, stomachs, and if there were no senior students to stop that war, it will not end. What am I saying here? Politics is a measure, it's a competition of popularity. You want to be popular to your constituents. It's limited to the subject of that political warfare. It's adult Mchongwano. You are allowed to question the other person. You are allowed to laugh at the other person. You are allowed to laugh at their weaknesses in performance, their weaknesses in non-performance. But there are boundaries to this thing. When you start importing people's relations, when you start importing people that are sacred in the African way of life, that our wars as Africans never involved the weak people in society or people who we protect. Our wars never went beyond the war ground. If somebody ran away to their houses, you never followed to beat them into their house. If women came in the line of war, the wars had to stop momentarily to allow women and children to leave the scene. Then we continue to butcher each other, if at all that's what we want to do. The indecency in this thing, or this public insult among our leaders, is what we have chosen to include in our politics. You can, if I insult you in Mchongwano, please limit it to me, because I've put myself in that arena, and if I've brought myself low enough for you to insult me, can you respect the rules of Muchongwano, the childish rules of Muchongwano, that it ends with us and the audience we are speaking to? Don't bring my sisters.
Why would you want to have rules that guide? Because that particular process of communication at an early age can be laughed off as being childish. But among adults, you can't laugh it off as being childish. When you are a child, you spoke like a child. You behave like... Now that you're of age, surely...
But you can decide to be childish.
Then in that case, could you kindly choose another profession?
Not politics.
City, you kind of read my mind. When children, a childish statement, when a child makes it to another child, we say children are playing. A childish statement, when a child makes it to an adult, we say the child is growing. That's why we just don't punish kids for trying out their father's shoes. But a childish statement, when an adult makes it to another adult, then it's supposed to annoy, and it's intended to do that. It's an effort to annoy you. Where I was going with this with this line of thought is, a wise man can pretend to be a fool because it's in his capacities to do that. But it's not in the capacity of a fool to effectively pretend to be wise. They fail by the first attempt. In this conversation, we know who is in his best capacity as a perennial howler of insults. And we know who has stepped down a little bit to show that he can step down, be a fool, be good at it, but he's not a fool. So that's why even in the conversation we're having, we are telling the wise man, please, we know of your capacities. We know you are a racehorse. Don't come down to the donkey. We have known you can do it, and we knew you can do it. Stay there. We have placed you there, and we appreciate that you are there.
Alex, the former DP, that is Rigathi Gachagua, said that tulikuwa taka tumlete chini na amekuja sasa chini. He's no longer presidential.
Yes.
Do you think that is actually true? That now the president is no longer presidential? Can he recover from this?
What is there to recover from?
I've asked the question.
Power does not change you. Power actually exposes and reveals who you exactly are. Before I even respond to that, there's something that my brother has talked about. And our elder here will tell you that idiots also get old. It's not that once one is foolish at a young age, there's no guarantee that he'll become wise when he comes of age. Some completely rebel and reject any type of civilization. On the same token, there is one psychologist called Sigmund Freud, and he talked about one of those psychological concepts called fixation. That if at a young age you grew up and there were some childish things you were not able to do, when you get old, they will reoccur in your life in one way or another. And basically that's what we are facing. We have a leader who has occupied public office without necessarily comprehending what that particular office requires. Michelle Obama, at one moment when she was responding to Donald Trump, I believe, she said that when they go low, you go high. What I expected the president to do is not actually now to dig even deeper in terms of the epithets and the body shaming that were coming from the opposition. I expected him to take the conversation a bit higher. Say, even if I've lost weight because I have to wake up in the morning, I have to work 20 hours in a day, I have to be across the country, inspecting programs, initiating others. But that is not where he's taking the conversation, because he knows that the gap between what he promised and what he has been able to deliver has distressingly become very wide over time. And for me, the way I say it is a smokescreen to run away from, the critical areas or the critical issues that continue to disturb the Kenyan populace. Another segment of looking at this, when we were growing up, because we're basically in the same generation, there was a program called The Bold and the Beautiful.
Oh yes, I remember it.
The Bold and the Beautiful used to come on KBC, and I was a director at KBC at some point. And it used to come actually after 9 p.m. news. So there was news, then there was sports, then The Bold and the Beautiful
10 o'clock, yeah.
Yes. And for all of us, I believe we were raised in more of an African family setup. So your parents would allow you to watch all other programs, you'd watch news, you'd watch even the sports, but immediately the sports ended.
Kalale.
No, they would just turn and look at you. And that gaze alone, once they knew that the Bold and Beautiful was coming, it would just send you to your bedroom and sleep. Because there was parental control when that program came.
True.
Unfortunately now, in our politics, we have sunk so low that you can't even allow your children to watch news. Because you don't know what will be coming in news. For instance, if the president comes and says some of those things and throws them the epithets that he was using yesterday, and you have a young kid, a teenager, 7 years, 14 years, and thereabout, picking some of those words and going to school and using them, how will the teacher try and punish this particular student? Because that student will still say that,
President alisema.
President alisema. So because of the authority and the stature of the public office that he occupies, it seems that it's justified for him to say that. If we lower the conversation, not because of service delivery, we have now turned into bedroom performances. That now we have to discuss about your bedroom performance, whether you are performing or not. We have to discuss about the size of your stomach. We have to discuss about the size of your ears. Then we are running away from the issues that continue to bedevil our country. As our people wallow in poverty, they have issues. They have to navigate through floods every single day. They have to navigate through a healthcare system that is not working, and yet you don't want to address the critical issues that Kenyans are going through, and rather you want to view them from a narrow prism just because of political expediency. I think it's really, really unfortunate.
And I actually want to touch on this whole issue of perhaps this, and actually CD did point to it earlier on. He said that perhaps something else is going on behind the scenes, and what we're being entertained with right now is to make us forget that perhaps we have problems as Kenyans. We have this whole flooding issue. We have drought and famine in the northern part of this country. Do you, number one, feel like politicians, and this is now all of them, whether in opposition or in government rather, do you feel like they are actually trying to distract us from what is actually happening?
My brother here spoke about Bold and Beautiful. I was not privileged enough to have the pleasure of my parents looking at me in such a way. Because we didn't have a TV then.
Oh, you didn't have?
Yes, but there's something that I can relate to. In the Seventh-day Adventist, there's a program called Family Life. So that is when children are allowed to go out so that parents can be taught on how to raise you and other things that involve parenthood. And I believe things that the Bold and Beautiful might have been showing. And so the censorship was the same. That your parents will look at you and say, don't you know it's time for family life? That's where you go and play outside. But again, thank God I have a TV now and I can watch news. And I wish Bold and Beautiful will come now so that I can look at my daughter with the same eyes. Because I have the eyes. But on a more serious note, it's funny how we want to blame the crow for taking the chick, but we don't want to ask the hen its contribution to that act. Yes, we have lost the chick, which could have become a hen. But if the hen stayed where it should have been, then the crow could not have snatched the chick. It's funny how now we realize we have TVs and we could have censored our children. But for the 2 years that other people have been holding the insults, our children never needed this kind of censorship. I'm not saying that it's right that leaders are insulting other leaders, but I'm surprised how we just realized how wrong this is because somebody else said it. For 2 years,
be precise. The president has responded, and
to
now
a 2-year onslaught.
There's a huge discussion about some of these statements. And there are people who've been making these statements for
2 years.
For the last 2 years.
So for 2 years, our TVs have been entertaining children with the Bold and Beautiful. But now that we have a new character in this movie, we realize that we have children and we need to scare them not to watch news. I want to be honest as Kenyans. Without entertaining or without trying to justify the manners of our leaders, we could have started this when somebody came with the first insult at the president. We have been entertained in this madness for 2 years with people old enough to be my father, others to be my grandfather, who have children who expected them to behave better, not because they hold public office, but because they hold the biggest office in the human existence, being a parent, being responsible of the husbands you give our daughters, of the wives you are raising for our sons. So the duty of presidents comes with rules, but there is a heavenly duty of representing God in creating and instilling values to these angels that we are bringing to this world. So therefore, while I understand that, back to my childhood example, when a dog barks at you, you might run a little bit, but the best thing to do so that the dog stops barking at you is either bark at the dog or carry some pebbles of sand and throw to his eyes. Okay. And I believe there's an end to this nonsense. And the end to this nonsense is for the wise man to remind the fool that I can be foolish, but I don't choose to be. And demonstrate it to the fool that this is how we can be foolish.
The problem,
and you can't like it.
The problem with these utterances is not the utterances in of themselves, because these utterances are very rich in entertainment. They are a huge entertainment factor. The principle and the concept of it is what is dangerous.
Exactly.
Because if people consider that speaking carelessly to each other, whether in response or instigation, for whatever reason, you're opening a floodgate that is actually harmful. And when you look at the history of misdeeds that began as misdeeds and ended up as genocide, because that was the ultimate, they all begin with utterances. And they all begin with utterances that are made and they're not challenged at the right time. In the Uhuru era, there was a lot of criticism of religious groups and churches and mosques. And for one thing, they were not speaking against the state. There were criticisms in the Kibaki era. In the Moi era, the religious groups really took on the state. They stood with the people. They were living up to the dictates of their faith and speaking up for those who could not speak up for themselves. Those two regimes, the church was mostly silent, and a lot of things went very, very, very wrong. And if you look at the church, now I'm talking as a Christian because that was my central focus.
Yes.
A lot of things went wrong even in the leadership. If you look at leadership processes within those churches, they were no different from our political systems. People who are bribed, people who are coerced. This is an election to determine who a church leader is. So the world came into the church. So I then wasn't surprised when I understood this, why they had lost their voice. They were the same as the people who were secular. But now here we are. We have 2008 behind us as a reminder of what utterances can do. We have Rwanda, a country that is not too far away from us, that descended into this, the chaos and the murderous genocide that we saw. And it began with utterances. Profiling individuals, because this is what it does. Yeah. You profile people.
Then you isolate them.
Yes, you diminish their capacity as human beings, so they become objects and things. So once they become objects and things, this is known. It's something that is done the world over. It then makes it easier for you to treat them because they're subhuman after all. They're three-quarter human. They're not fully human. They're lesser beings. This is what we guard against. Whenever even communities fight against each other, there will be a narrative that is fed to those who are fighting to give them reason as to why they should fight these people or exterminate them. These people are vermin. These people are the scourge who make our lives terrible. They are insects. They are bacteria. So getting rid of them is actually a good thing because then you rid yourself of the disease component that they bring with it.
Yeah.
These utterances are dangerous. They are entertaining, and at some level you actually feel we are seeing sides of these people that we don't publicly see. The truth is this: they cannot be encouraged at whatever level and at whatever form. Get entertained for an hour or two and then look at this thing seriously and realize this is where our problems begin. Because if you allow these utterances to go unchecked, in stations such as this one, you're going to be hearing people coming and uttering some of the vilest tribalistic things you've ever heard of.
Mm-hmm.
We will have lit that tinder keg. It'll be now a free for all. And that isn't good. For us, it isn't good. That is the beginning of the disintegration of this nation that we know.
You know, there are some politicians who've been saying some very crazy things. You remember that time Babu Owino called President Uhuru some very nasty words.
Yes, exactly.
And actually at that time, I thought Babu Owino was going to be arrested. Mimi nilikuwa nangoja jamaa by the afungwe na tumsahau.
Alishikwa, by the way, usifikiri hakushikwa.
In some dungeon somewhere.
Walishikwa, there was one Friday walishikwa yeye na like-minded individuals. Yes, watu ambao mjitabia mbovu kama yeye walishikwa wote, and they were put in. That wasn't enough. If you look at the battle that NCIC fight, it is these things.
Yes.
When you look at parts of the country, let me pick Marsabit specifically, okay? And the problem that Marsabit has had. What do you think sparks of these things? Utterances. People say crazy things, and some of those fellows don't take well to some of those things. You say something crazy, they pick up arms. And before you know it, people have died. People who did not need to die at all. So, when leaders think that they have a free-for-all, when they can utter the things that they want, and where you're right, Otieno, it is not when the president speaks that we then censure. There are people people like Rigathi Gachagua have been saying some of the craziest things you can hear. Otieno Kajwang is my friend. That man says some crazy things sometimes. And you wonder, where is this thing all going? Now, these are things that we must speak of because they are harmful. We don't need to go far into somebody's history. Our own history. What do you think happened in the year 2008?
One word, madoadoa. That was it.
Yes. You had already segmented these people. You had reduced them. You had dehumanized them. So now, the atrocities that we don't speak of, the number of young men who disappeared, who it is said were buried in mass graves, what do you think caused all that?
True story. All right. Mokaya, do you think the government has delivered, and perhaps that is where we are seeing what we are seeing in terms of what
I thought I'd give a rebuttal on that first.
Oh yeah, sure, why not?
Yes.
Yeah.
So let me first cue from where the elder has left, and allow me to use that term to our friend Muga. There is an institution that ranks failed states across the world. And in their latest ranking, Kenya is actually position 32 among those countries that stability is under question. We have all the attributes as our neighbors. Someone said once that Kenya is an island of stability in a sea of turbulence. If you look around, DRC has fallen, South Sudan has fallen, Sudan itself has fallen, Somalia has fallen, Burundi is a foregone case. And so basically all our neighbors around are what we can call banana republics or just failed states. The attributes that contribute to a state failing, all of them we have it here. We have ethnic competition. We have a disgruntled, disillusioned, and disappointed youth. We have about 75% of our population being below the age of 35. The youth unemployment rate in this country stands at 65%. Whenever these politicians go to rallies, whether it's on a Monday or it's a Sunday or it's a Saturday, you'll always see masses around. One thing that really disturbs me is that they do not question why there is always a crowd around. How come these people are not out there working? How come they are not there out there earning a living? It's because these people do not have any jobs. They do not have any income generating opportunity. And this is what should be disturbing to the political class of this country. Unfortunately, they don't want to handle the tough bit of it. They would want to go for simple rhetoric and, the entertainment and the excitement, not knowing that we are a precipice. If there's something that really pointed out on Kenya being on a precipice, then is the Gen Z demonstration or the Gen Z revolution. Because we merely lost this country. And going forward, the way Muga has said, I think leaders have to be really measured in the kind of utterances they give publicly. They need to be checked. NCIC has to rise up to the occasion and call out some of these leaders. Definitely has not been able to do that, but I know commissioners, I think they advertised and they shortlisted. I believe in the next 2 or 3 months, there would be commissioners there. My last bit on that would be just a comparison of the kind of leaders that we used to have then during what would call our founding fathers. We had the likes of Kwame Nkrumah, we had the likes of Amilcar Cabral, David Dako, Modibo Keita. They used to put their thoughts on paper and they used to argue out their leadership ideology and the vision they had for their countries. Unfortunately, the kind of leadership that we have now cannot exactly do the same. So when you go back to history, even if you just Google Kwame Nkrumah, you'd get quotes, right? The independence of Ghana means nothing if the entire Africa is not free. But when you go and quote, probably just Google William Ruto, then you get a statement like someone has tumbo kubwa, someone has masikio sijui imekaa namna gani, someone is not performing in the bedroom. So you can see the clear distinction in terms of the kind of leadership that we deserve and the kind of leadership that we have. Fortunately, we are 18 months to the election, and I believe the Kenyans are watching. Kenyans are not fools. Our voters are not fools. The Gen Z have woken up. The millennials have woken up, and they are going to make the right decision when it comes to the trajectory of this.
Can I ask you a question? What is it that we do that would determine and make us fools? You say we are not fools. What is it that would make us fools?
Number one, falling into political rhetoric. Because politics is about inclusion and exclusion. It's about my people and your people. For instance, when leaders come out with such remarks, and I think if you take a spectrum across the country, you would see which particular areas are calling him out and which particular areas are not calling them out. You would see, for instance, supporters of Rigathi Gachagua cannot come out and call him out. The same way you'd have the president's supporters not coming out to call him out. And therefore they fall into this trap of the political rhetoric that comes with the politicians. Because for them they see, okay, this is our person, would have to basically embrace him despite what he's bringing on the table. There's one philosopher who said that Africans, as long as you are a bad leader but you come from my community, I'll embrace you rather than a good leader who comes from a different community.
You know, there is something we refer to as our lived reality. Yeah? I've mentioned Rigathi Gachagua, and I've also mentioned the MP for Homa Bay Town. And with good reason.
Is it Homa Bay Town?
Yes, you're talking about Kaluma.
Oh, yes.
Homa Bay Town?
Yes.
No, Gachagua is not MP for Homa Bay Town. Certainly is not. Yes, that one is out of the question. The reason why I mentioned these two is this. Their utterances can be very divisive, but unfortunately, there are people who follow those utterances and believe in them. Why? That's where the lived reality comes in. Rigathi Gachagua has many faults, but the things he says have semblances of truth. Our politics is, in my opinion, exactly as he describes it. If you remove all the garnishes and all the flowers that attach with it, it is exactly as he discusses it. And we cringe because it's the truth we like to pretend we do not believe in. But that's our politics. If our members of parliament come from regions, except for the big towns, where people speak a language similar to ours, and many of those people are your relatives, we are already tribal. So this utterances that, oh, Kenya is one Kenya without tribe, nonsense. We are tribal. Having accepted that diversity, does it mean it's negative? It is not negative. In fact, it's one of the most beautiful things that any country can have, because that diversity teaches you things that nothing else can. It teaches you how to live with other people. At the dawn of independence of this country, it was recognized. That's why civil servants were never posted to the areas they came from. Never. Even when you went to education, we had a Form 5 and 6, you never went back to the... You would be taken as far as possible from where you came from. Why? There was an understanding that Kenyans needed to understand how the rest of the country functions. Okay? Politicians have found an easy path to success by holding that tribal card and furthering the interest of their group. That isn't bad unless it comes from a position where, for instance, the region Rigathi Gachagua comes from has had 3 presidents. 3. So people feel When you have 3 presidents, it means for the time these people have been presidents, the vast majority of what we call development has gone to that region. That is also not entirely true. It is not. But if people believe it to be true, then it will be true. Tribal politics has an appeal. When it becomes dangerous is when it is them against us. And these people, when they gain something, something's being taken away from us. Now, that's where that particular politics becomes divisive. But if all that somebody is doing is championing the interests of their people, that is what members of parliament do.
Every single day.
Yes.
Actually, that's what they're elected to do.
Yes.
Go speak for us.
Yes. That is why they've actually asked you to do that job. So, if we wish to have an honest conversation, even if somebody is your person, when they're wrong, please admit that they're wrong. If they've done something that is illegal, then it is illegal. It isn't legal when it is your person, and it is illegal when the same thing done by someone else is illegal. This dishonesty in our discussions is part of the big problem we have, because we speak with forked tongues. On the one hand, we say this, on the one hand, we say the other. We're disingenuous. We are not honest with the conversations we have about our politics. When we speak in a public forum like this, we sanitize our discussion and we want to say, behave and think and speak as though we are all, very balanced and partisan. There are those who will tell you, I'm Kenyan first, then I'm this other person. Bro, these tribes are nations. We are nations within a nation. And that identity is a good thing. You must be proud of it. But you cannot hold yourself to be superior to other people, because you're actually not. You may have had an early advantage historically, but that's it, an early advantage. Now, what the politics of the times then requires was for this equalization to take place. The writers of the Constitution knew this. They understood it. So ask the question, in your generation, why are you people pulling us back? The idea is to move away from that politics, because we've seen what it does. My generation has failed completely to sort it out. Now you people are following in our footsteps.
City, one of the biggest conversations we have, even in the children's court, is the nonsensical war between people trying to change identities of people so late in time. Omosingi first, then I'm Omobasi, then I'm Omousi, then I'm Kenyan, then I'm African, then I'm a global citizen. That does not change. It doesn't matter how much you educate me. It doesn't matter how much you tell me that I'm tribeless, clanless, or whatever. I come from somewhere, and there is nothing wrong to identify as such. There is something beautiful about both insults and jokes. For them to achieve their intention or even their goal, for a joke to be funny, it must have a very big element of truth. For an insult to be annoying, it must have a very big element of truth. But as human beings, there are truths we don't tell people, because those are truths that make them weak. There are things when we say sifa, doesn't mean it must be praised. Kuna sifa mbaya. But the reason we don't say sifa mbaya to people directly is because it has a bad it has a bad feeling to them. We are not saying that whatever leaders are saying about other leaders is necessarily not true. But it's what civilized people don't say to other civilized people, because they are the things that make those people look bad or weak. There are jokes we make about my people, Omogusi community. Those jokes could be true, but they're not jokes that make me happy about what you say about my people. Just like there are jokes people say about every other tribe. Even Kenyans, there are jokes about Kenyans that you are not comfortable with. The fundamental thing is that those jokes could be true, but they are not jokes that we amplify. And that speaks to the volatility of the jokes we do amongst ourselves. That said, you asked a question.
I want us to take a short break, then we get to that question, because we need to do the news right now. When we come back, we will, of course, turn our focus to development issues and see what exactly the political class has done for us and what that means for 2027.
the home of urban soul. Comfort Living Moments brought to you by Tile and Carpet Kenya.
As the prayer mat is laid, find warmth in our comforting rugs, creating soft, meaningful spaces for your morning reflection and gratitude.
Comfort Living Moments brought to you by Tile and Carpet Kenya. This is the Radio Generation News.
Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga. A man has been charged with the murder of 100-year-old mother in Kericho County. The accused, Julius Cheriot Bet, is alleged to have killed his mother, Grace Chelangat, by ramming her with a vehicle on March 7th at Kiptere in Sigowet sub-county. Prosecutors said the incident was linked to a family dispute over inheritance. Bet pleaded not guilty as the court denied him bond. The case will be mentioned on May 12 for pre-trial. Senator Eddie Okech has warned that flooding in parts of the country is worsening and called for urgent action beyond emergency relief. The Migori County Senator says the government should focus on long-term solutions, including repairing dikes and improving infrastructure to prevent future disasters. Floods in the country have so far killed at least 71 people.
Where you give food items or non-food items for victims who have got serious flood crisis, it is not enough, because you give them food today, you give them blankets today, you give them mattresses, but they are still affected by the same overflowing waters. And some of this is because the dikes and polders in these areas have since destroyed with these floods. A place like Kabuto in Nyatike, you find that those dikes are not working at all. So food alone is not enough. The prevention mechanism for these floods is an ongoing problem. You go to Budalangi, I was in Budalangi the other time, Mr. Speaker, as well. It's a crisis there.
Deputy President Kithure Kindiki has asked opposition leaders to show respect to President William Ruto and the office he holds. Kindiki said some opposition leaders have made it a habit to insult the head of state, warning that such conduct will not be tolerated. The DP said leaders should focus on promoting their agendas instead of attacking the president if they want mutual respect in political discourse.
Before you start demanding the president to be presidential, you must treat President Ruto as president. Bona hawakuambia Uhuru Kenyatta one term? Bona hawakuambia Mwai Kibaki one term? Niseme nisiseme? Yaani kuna rais tumekuwa naye ambaye ni perfect hii dunia? Si rais ni mwanadamu kama sisi? The government is a human institution, and there is no perfect government. How come during Kibaki's time nobody said one term?
The United Democratic Alliance has announced a change in its nomination schedule for Emurua Dikir constituency in Narok County. The party's National Elections Board said on Wednesday that nominations originally planned for Saturday, March 28, will now take place on Friday, 27th, 2026. The board noted that the adjustment follows a previous notice issue on March 16th. The leader of one of Ecuador's biggest drug trafficking gangs has been arrested in Mexico City, officials say. Angel Esteban Morales was wanted in connection with the murder of presidential candidate Fernando Villavicencio in 2023. Ecuador's Interior Minister John Reimberg said. He added that Morales had obtained Mexican papers using a fake Colombian identity. And that's the truth on Radio Generation. Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga.
Sports on Radio Generation.
Good morning, I'm Samuel Otieno. Liverpool cruised into the quarter-finals of the Champions League on Wednesday with a 4-0 win over Galatasaray at Anfield. Arne Slot's side made up for last week's 1-0 defeat in Turkey with a dominant showing in front of their own supporters. Dominic Szoboszlai was once again in inspirational form for the Reds, while Mohamed Salah also played a starring role despite missing a penalty in the first half. The Confederation of African Football President Patrice Motsepe has defended the organization after Senegal called for an international probe into suspected corruption. This comes after Senegal was stripped of their AFCON title. CAF says Senegal forfeited the Africa Cup of Nations final in January after walking off the pitch, turning their 1-0 extra time win into a 3-0 default win for Morocco. Motsepe said the Disciplinary Appeals Board made different decisions and that Senegal has a right to appeal.
Every one of the 54 nations in Africa have a right to pursue their appeals and their advance interests, not only at the highest level in Africa, in CAF, but also the highest body, which is the CAS, and we will adhere and respect the decision that's taken at the highest level.
And that's your sports update on Radio Generation. Good morning, I'm Samuel Otieno.
Sports on Radio Generation. The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the guests and do not necessarily reflect the views of Radio Generation. Radio Generation assumes no responsibility or liability for the interviewee's views. This is Radio Generation. In the beginning, there was morning radio. But now there is Radio Generation's The People's Breakfast. Curious and bold, getting facts from the shadows.
That's what it is.
Now, as the city wakes and secrets stir, a bright new voice shines. The People's Breakfast. Your morning, your voice, your journey. Good morning.
Good morning, my neighbor.
Welcome to the home of hard truths and bold insights. Radio Generation.
A very good morning to you. Welcome back to Radio Generation. The time right now is 8 minutes past 8 o'clock. How are you doing? We are having a very interesting conversation here in studio. And in the previous hour, just looking at the whole debacle from over the weekend up until sometime this week when kulikuanga na matusi zilikuwa zimetupwa ama ni cheche za matusi. Salamu zimfikie Sami Philip and a couple of you I can see on our X account. Thank you so much for coming through, guys. Levi Moja, how are you doing? You're saying that unasikiza kuwa Busia Teso. Teso inakuanga Busia?
It's in Busia County.
Allah, I didn't know that. So thank you so much for coming through, Levi. We also do have Benny. Hey.
Remember the first governor of Busia County was a gentleman called Ojamong. Peter Ojamong.
Yes. Ni Mteso yule. Yes. Okay, good stuff. Kuna Benny hapa amesema Donald Trump has gone lower despite Michelle Obama going high. You're the one who said when you go, ama ni wewe? Wewe ndio ulisema when you go low. There's also a comedian here in Kenya. He goes by the name of Mulamwa. When you go low, he goes lower.
He creates a basement.
Hey. Bana nyinyi Waluya mtatumaliza siku moja. There's Pare Wandolo. How are you doing? Leadership is in the echo of a society's value. What we tolerate in ourselves, we empower in our leaders. And then let me choose another random one.
Repeat that thing. What we tolerate?
This is Pare Wandolo. Leadership is the echo of a society's values. What we tolerate in ourselves, we empower in our leaders. Na ni kweli because kuna jamaa hapa mwingine pia anatusikiza amesema hivi, ni venye hiyo message iko mahali tu hapa. Alikuwa anasema here it is. My take 2.0 amesema the citizens themselves wakienda social media ni matusi instead of focusing on issues. These same citizens pretending to be angels ndio wanaendanga social media kuita watu majina ambazo tutasema saizi kwa hewani. But yeah, I actually see this a lot. For example, there's something Fred Okango posted yesterday. And the insults under the comment section. Not at impolite words, insults.
Alitukano.
Mbaya sana. Alafu of course kuna wenye wanatukanana sasa because maybe kuna mmoja amemsupport anatukana, maybe kuna mmoja amemnini kashifu sasa yeye anatukana na supporters. It's a really nasty place to be in. But you know when we have that in us and we can tukana each other, Because, for example, when the president said whatever he said, the crowds at where he was cheered him on. When DP Gachagua, former DP rather, said what he said, the place where he was, people clapped for him. So I mean, and also Fred Matiang'i alisema kitu mali alikuanga na watu kwanza walikuwa wanamwambia endelea bro.
It is something we have as human beings. Have you ever wondered why when somebody is walking on the slip, say on a banana and peel fall,
we laugh?
You really want to laugh, but utajishikilia because you want to, are they injured or not? If they're not injured, utacheka. Okay?
Actually, we laugh.
Yes.
Me, kuna wakati niliteleza, nilikuwa nimevaa Crocs and they didn't have grip. I slipped, I fell. The people around that place really laughed.
Yes.
But you know, your pain is not out of the impact of your fall.
Yeah.
Your pain is in the reaction. That's why when kids fall, the first instinct is usimwangalie.
Yes.
They won't cry. But if you look at them, they realize their hearts.
I actually do not give a flying walinda. Ucheke usicheke. Nimeanguka kwa sababu nimeanguka. Whatever reason, physics decided I fall down and I have fallen. I will get up, dust myself, and I will walk like nothing has happened.
This man has tripped and fallen. Now he's blaming physics.
Yeah. But you get what I mean, yeah? So, nilikuwa nataka tuongee juu ya government delivery. Na nilikuwa nimekuuliza swali in the previous hour. Has the government delivered? I want us to audit the government.
Okay, now there's a from your commentary, there's a time when we had a deal with a friend of mine. It went sour. They started holding insults on WhatsApp. Then I sent my friend. Yes, I sent my other friend. Before the deal went sour. I asked my other friend who's called Nyaunga, this guy has insulted me. And I was trying to be civil. My friend told me, no, don't be civil. This guy is trying to get a trail of screenshots to share and say vile amekutukana na hakuna kitu umefanya. He told me, please insult him well, so that screenshot does not leave your space. Then I handed him the phone. He did type a lot of things. Then the good thing about it is that 3 exchanges later, he's like, bro, you're a lawyer, man. In leadership. And I don't have to say whether government has done things, because number one, I'm not the government spokesperson, though that office has failed terribly. Otherwise, we wouldn't have the president always trying to regurgitate what they have done. And we have a star in that job called Mutua.
Okay.
Mutua used to do something that was, I think, had not seen a government spokesperson do it. He used to call journalists and everybody who cared to know what government does to a hall. Tell them what the government has done, what the government is doing, what the government plans to do.
I think it was every Thursday.
Every Thursday.
Yes.
Then take questions. And the questions he couldn't answer, he could accept that I'm ignorant on that side, let me research, I'll get back. Anything that he was uncomfortable with, he will scatter around and say, unajivunia, you can take t-shirts, you know. It became a joke of sorts. But President Kibaki could not speak because there's somebody paid to do that. Then you realize the finance bill that we complain about in 2024, in my view, might not have been the worst finance bill. What sparked Kenyans is the recklessness with which people in government defended that bill. A member of parliament holding a ranking position was quoted saying, whether ni mbaya ama ni mzuri, we have numbers in parliament na itapita. And I dare say that is what caused that anger. We could have discussed it in public participation. We could have proposed things that will be changed in that bill to become suitable. We have members of parliament who could have proposed amendments, that those amendments which could have made that thing palatable. But the bravado, the carelessness, even how powerless we felt when a member of parliament says that.
That's hubris.
Yes,
when
that is what
decides that they can speak to you if we use Kenyanese anyhowly. Okay, please continue.
Yes, that is what angered the Gen Zs. Half of them had not interacted with the bill, really. And even if you ask them, mbona unanini, atasema Kasongo must go, which is a slogan they didn't create. Now, whether government has performed or not, if we choose to be willingly blind, when somebody says, wewe muongo, wewe Kasongo, the response was, tunajenga reli, tunajenga barabara. And for 2 years, that has been the exchange.
Okay.
Until recently. If you're blind and you are taken to Talanta Stadium and you touch it like this, you'll know this looks like a pumpkin, but it's too big for a pumpkin. It could be a stadium. If you see tractors trying to move around a road, you realize there's some construction happening here, and because it's not a toilet, it could be a road. If you're taken to Lower Kabete and see those buildings and somebody takes you to touch them, you'll feel it's incomplete, but this sounds like something I know it could be a building. If you interact with these kids who receives 22,000 per individual, yes, it does not speak to what we believe in, but it's value to them, and it really happens. So among the many lies we have been treated to, among the things that we are told that this person has no capacity to say one truth, in 30 seconds I've mentioned 4 truths that are happening. Whether they're happening the way we want, that's another conversation. We had $1 at 162, now it's 130. We are at the verge of default on the loans that we had, and right now we are paying loans, yes, but sustainably. So there are things government has not done.
Sustainably, what do you mean?
I mean, we are not in the red. Our deposits have not been garnished. Yes.
Do you know the percentage of our revenue that goes to pay back these debts?
Which is a duty we have on our debts.
It's not.
We have a duty on whether we want to say whether it's ODS or not, whether we want to qualify where the debts went. I'm saying
I'm going by the central bank records.
Yes.
Because they're the ones who release these things. And they tell you during this period, this percentage of what it is that we call our revenue was used to pay off these debts. By the time you are paying 80% plus of your revenue, we have a problem.
A serious one.
Is it the problem we had in 2022?
In 2022 it was worse.
Thank you. So then we are not in heaven yet, but we are not in hell.
This, what I'm saying, isn't a criticism of what the government is doing. What I am insisting on is something that you always hear me talking about, an honest discussion.
Thank you.
Okay? Because if you only have 20% to run your affairs with, you're going to have to borrow. So that brings in a completely different discussion. And that's where now the clause of the World Bank and all these institutions get into us. And then you suddenly find them telling us to sell off this. Anytime you hear a government being told to sell,
it's involuntary.
It's involuntary. So somebody has come up with that. It's these World Bank fellows and IMF who come up with these crazy ideas.
Yes.
Yes, it's not. We have economists in our treasury who actually understand exactly what we need to do. But when somebody has lent you money, they're going to give you conditions within which you will have to do what they want. So we find ourselves, if we were not using that sizable amount of our revenue to pay off debt, we would not need to be talking to these fellows the way we do.
Yeah.
So to land my point, City, I'm saying that we were in our worst place. The efforts, deliberate efforts that have been done to get us into what we are talking about.
That is absolutely true.
That we are taking conditions now, we are not being auctioned. Lastly, my friend Advice Mundalo said the other time in a forum that I was part of that
this thing of we're not being auctioned, I'm not so sure, but let me leave you to continue with what you're saying, and as you said, land it.
Yes. So Advice Mundalo said there was a fundraiser for health. Somebody was trying to get money from him to pay for healthcare. He asked him, but have you tried this thing called SHA? They said, SHA does not work. Advice told him, please, this is money. Instead of paying that bill, please subscribe and let's see it fail. That conversation did not continue in the same way because somehow that bill was settled and the amount they needed to fundraise, actually, that person was able to raise. I'm not saying that...
Through SHA?
Through SHA.
Okay.
So, there is the fixed mind that we have to oppose everything. And there is the brilliance, even the wisdom, to look at things from your view. Say, this has worked for me, this has not worked for me. This is happening, this is happening. The blanket opposition is what I don't understand. What I'm saying is, we have our own failures.
But what I also don't understand is why the government, who have all the information, do not put up a counter to the narrative that has been prevailing, because the prevailing narrative is what points to what you're saying, where everything isn't working. And when you get to specifics, you realize that is not entirely true.
There's something Alex had said earlier on in regards to healthcare.
Yes.
And of course, Rafiki Topivi, he has tried to elaborate from actually a practical perspective. But what is your perspective, not just on health alone, but just on government delivery?
On government delivery, first, now there's a cliche that I think it's spreading like bushfire, that Ruto lies all the time, and all the time
Ruto lies.
Well, that's a narrative that somebody has crafted, and I'm sure they're propagating it as much as they possibly can.
First, on the issues of healthcare, yesterday I think Itumbi posted something about Kerugaya Hospital charging cash on patients, and yet SHA is supposed to be working. These are their glaring inefficiencies.
Itumbi works for the government.
Itumbi works in the government. In fact, he was shooting himself on the foot, discrediting whatever was happening in...
maybe he was just exposing...
On the other side, right?
Maybe he was just...
So there are glaring inconsistencies in terms of the implementation of SHA. From my point of view, you start
But if I may ask,
on the system
was
first.
he exposing the inefficiencies of SHA, or was he exposing the wrong that is happening?
Some criminal activity
in that hospital.
It basically, because it's a spectrum, so it's basically about the implementation, right? It's about the sensitization. It's about also the uptake of the people responsible. Are they implementing SHA the way it had been designed?
Okay.
Yes. So basically, mine is it's a bird's eye view on the entire system, right? And it starts with the operating system itself. And City, if you remember, it is one of the most expensive systems that the
Not
world
one of
has
the
ever
most.
seen.
We've never seen a more expensive system in our country.
It is
So
about
it's not
100
one
and
of
what?
the most.
106
billion or something.
104 billion.
104 billion.
Hiyo pesa ni mingi.
104 billion, right?
Yes.
The entire revenue share that goes to counties, as per the budget policy statement that was passed the other day, is 420 B. So this is a third, that you can use a third of what goes to counties just to develop a system. You wonder where this system is, and even the server, where it's located for us to be able to use that kind of money.
Does the system work?
I don't think it works, because for the cases that we have been able to see, we have people complaining all over about the implementation of SHA. Then, he has actually also pointed out on whether someone was able to onboard it or not.
Yeah.
And sometimes we sit on a high tower and think that 7,000 shillings or 8,000 shillings is accessible to every Kenyan, right? Majority of Kenyans cannot be able even to afford that 7,000 shillings for healthcare. Where have you grouped these people who cannot be able to afford these 7,000 shillings?
They allow you to pay in installments, just in case you didn't know.
You cannot be treated when you are paying installments. Once you appear in a medical facility, you have to pay the total amount before services can be rendered to you. And those are some of the loopholes that are there.
Yeah, what I understand is you can actually pay the full year through a hustler fund, if I'm not wrong. Then now unalipa hustler fund pole pole.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and hustler fund, it's a foregone case. You've seen the kind of reports
that have been able to come.
It's not supposed to work.
Now let me come to the the real idea.
I mean, when he says we know, I actually don't know whether the hustler fund works or doesn't.
That's the blanket opposition we are talking about.
We shall get to the hustler fund.
Does not work. Come on, hustler fund does not work.
Tumalize ya health kwanza.
Yes. So let us finish first on the health.
I really wanted him to talk about the hustler fund, but anyway, let's talk about health.
I'm coming there.
Yes.
We'll get there. So on health, right? The president was in Kakamega the other day, I think the day before yesterday, talking about issues of Nairobi Hospital.
Yeah.
And you've seen unbridled dictatorial tendencies towards trying to control what an otherwise private hospital operation and the board has been able to come up with. You've seen even a very old doctor, a respectable
Dr. Obwaka,
about 80 years old, being taken to the cells on a Friday so that he basically can just be intimidated to hand over the hospital and, change even some of the directors there. Unfortunately, the president is addressing this issue in Kakamega. I come from that region, and I can tell you without a doubt that 70% of the people that he was addressing have never even been in Nairobi in the first place. Probably the farthest that they have gone is Kisumu. For them, when you're talking about healthcare, can you talk about the level 5 hospital of Kakamega, which is a magnificent edifice, if you ask me, but with no equipment, no medicine, no medical practitioners there. to attend to them. Those are the issues that Kenyans want to hear. Those are the expectations of Kenyans on the president when he comes to the region.
Yeah.
Don't come to Kakamega, then you start talking about issues of, of Nairobi Hospital and how you'd want to, streamline it. Talk about Kakamega Hospital, talk about Bungoma Hospital, talk about Trans Nzoia Hospital, and what you are doing to improve access to healthcare when it comes to this population. The other bit, I don't know now if I can move just far ahead.
Yeah, sure, please.
My friend also talked about the issues of construction, that everywhere, Kenya is a construction site, right? The closest I think we have, City and I have the advantage of using, the Mau Summit Road. And we've seen the kind of imbroglio that is always on that road whenever we are going down for festivities. Mau Summit Road, during Uhuru's tenure, when the contract had been given to the French, it was 150 billion. Ruto takes it up less than 2 years later. It is 200 billion. A difference of a whopping 50 billion. And yet, we are supposed to stand up and clap for him when we have brazen corruption that we can be able to see, when we have an explained hike in terms of the infrastructural projects that are coming up across the country. Look at even what we are talking about, the affordable housing. In Kangemi there, I have been on the ground several times, and I ask my constituents, how many of you have been able or have the capacity of even uptaking the affordable houses that are coming up here? Majority of the people who live in our inner cities, our informal settlements, that ideally this housing project was meant for, do not even have that capacity of paying up for those houses.
Did you meet any one of them who is able to?
They don't. They live below $2 in a day. How can they be able to service that kind of facility?
In your interactions, you didn't meet a single Kenyan?
I did not meet, especially in the geographical setup that I was in.
All right.
When you cross the road, definitely to the Loresho side, you would meet someone who has the capacity. But on the other side of the road, that is now Kangemi, Bottom Line, Mishegwe, they do not have the capacity of uptaking the affordable housing. So these are part of the issues that continue to bedevil Kenyans, and the government does not seem to have a solution for that. Look at the pending bills fiasco, right? You've seen Kenyans who are entrepreneurs, Kenyans who have supplied counties, have supplied national government, some of them even committing suicide. We have so many of them under depression because government cannot be able to pay the pending bills that owes to Kenyans who have been able to render services or also
and this is a Ruto government.
It
problem.
is not a Ruto government, it's successive governments, but we needed to see some sort of deliberate and strategic intervention in terms of handling these pending bills. My last point would be on what City had talked about, the debt issue. Last year, but one, I was privileged to bring in the country the former president of Nigeria, who is also my political mentor, Olusegun Obasanjo. And Olusegun Obasanjo, one of the stellar things that he was able to do when he took up the leadership of Nigeria is handle the debt crisis. And we hosted him at Kenya School of Government, and one of the topics that he was handling is the issue of debt. One thing that he presented and advised us to do, and also advise our government to do. Can we be able to audit our debt? In the 10-point agenda that the president had actually signed with Raila, one of those agenda items was, are we able to audit our debts? Because we have odious debt, right? We have debt that has been taken over several years back that cannot be accounted for. Now, the way City has pointed out, almost 80% of our revenue is actually going into
paying this debt,
servicing this debt. We are only remaining with 20%. We have even gotten to a level where, in as far as we would want to boost that, we have maintained the exchange rate, the shilling to the dollar, but 80% of our revenue is going towards servicing the debt. We have gone even worse into an affair where now we are even borrowing to finance recurrent expenditure that we cannot be able to pay salaries unless we get a loan for this particular purpose, which basically points out to bad economic decisions and the bad state of the economy. If you ask the normal Kenyans, 5 years ago and today, when were they likely to sleep hungry? They will tell you today they are more likely to sleep hungry. because life has become quite hard, difficult for them. Okay. Prices of common basic commodities has also skyrocketed. Unemployment rate now it stands at about 13%. What are we going to do about it? Nyota, yes, it is a program by the World Bank, and it needs to critically address the given constituent of young entrepreneurs that is supposed to address. And part of the things that I normally say, as having practiced in the youth space for quite some time, not every young person is an entrepreneur. Some just have a skill, they have some sort of training, and they would want to offer their service. So this kind of assumption that all the young people of this country are supposed to be business people, they are supposed to be entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
I think it's far-fetched. For me, from where I sit, my mindset is it's actually the older generation that is supposed to go into business. Because for them, they have had the experience, they have the capital. Once they leave public service or they leave employment, they can be able to go out there and start businesses. You're bringing a young person straight from campus. He doesn't have experience, he doesn't have the training, and yet you expect this person to establish a business with a paltry 22,000 shillings. I think it's far-fetched.
But you can actually offer services. If you get this money, if you're a plumber, for example, you can buy tools. And then, now you can actually get jobs, because if you're called for a gig, unaweza kuja na spanner zako, unaweza kuja na screwdriver, as opposed hauna kitu.
Yes.
Na ukiitwa sasa unakuja unaanza kuuliza mdosi wako, uko na spana.
Yes.
Unaona?
And moving, that is actually my point. That rather than investing in entrepreneurship, can we invest in skills development? Because majority of our young people do not even have that skill.
Okay.
How many plumbers do we have that are registered?
So you'll give them the money and they don't have a skill.
They do not have a skill in the first
place.
It's better first ensure that they have a skill.
So capacity build.
Once you build that capacity of having a skill or a training, then you can be able to give them a capital that they can be able to use.
Ndio isikani kama tumesahau historia Hustler Fund. You're the first person nimesikia akisema Hustler Fund ifanyi kazi. Maybe you can give us an insight as to what you mean by that.
By me saying that Hustler Fund is not working, it's basically about the reports that have been able to generate. What has the Auditor General said about the Hustler Fund? It was actually supposed
15 billion lost.
It was supposed to be a revolving fund. So when you disburse and you have 15 billion missing, how are you now effecting or implementing it to ensure that it's revolving again in the next financial year?
Okay.
Right? It doesn't make sense.
Over to you, Mokaya.
Speaking of Nyota, when I go to the ground to look for votes, there's an urge to speak to the online ground, to tell them, actually, I'm serious about that thing. The person who does that for me is called Mutonga. When I call Mutonga and tell him, niko ground, kuja na kamera unipige reels za pale social media, he tells me, Mheshimiwa, utanitumia pesa ya kamera. We hire a camera with Mutonga at 2,000 per day.
How much?
2,000 shillings per day. That is
what sort of camera?
For the Nikon
DSLR.
DSLR.
It takes still at the same time. It takes.
You can take videos.
Yes.
Videos as well.
If you ask Mutonga, why don't you buy your camera, he'll give me the same answer. I don't have money to buy that camera. It means this boy is not banked. Number one, he can't access credit. Number two, whatever I pay him, I really wish I get blessed that I pay him better, cannot ably sustain him towards getting the tool that he needs. Mutonga is stellar in what he does. I knew him while he's doing what he's doing. I knew him through videos that he had posted for somebody else. Another candidate called Cliff Ogwara, who's going for the same seat I'm going, in a different constituency. So when you say that not every young man is a businessman, then you need to tone down kidogo and understand what business means. Tools, the way you said, if I don't hire that camera for him, then he can't go to work. And if he goes, especially on a Friday when there is high demand, he might miss that tool, which means that day he won't make money. And it also means that's the time when funerals and during the weekend happens. That's when there is demand for his services. So it gets him into a space where he can earn an income. Something small for Mokaya and Matere here, but it's important to him. That said, I am a lawyer, and one thing about being a lawyer is that I understand some things beyond just what they look like. I don't buy theories, because in my kind of trade, you can't trade on rumors. Let's say things are bad when we have tried them. I want Matere here, when he goes back to Kawangware, he asks his constituents, Kangemi, still, yes, he asked his constituents, how many of you have logged into Boma Yangu, signed up, saved and transferred their eligibility into that progressive savings, and with that try to navigate towards owning that house? After they fail, then we'll come and have that conversation. When you say that SHA does not work because 7,000 is too expensive.
It's not me, it's Itumbi who said, bro.
It's okay, you alluded to it. But you said 7,000 is not something small. How does the road towards realizing the benefit of SHA, what is the client journey? The client journey is you walk into a hospital, you say you want to pay through social medical insurance, then you are told you are not a subscriber, then you are advised to subscribe, then you are told it will take effect immediately. You subscribe. Try that with private insurance or even NHIF.
1 month.
They'll tell you you have to wait for 6 months, but your ailment is not waiting. So when you talk about 7,000 as something impossible, let's compare it with the bill that hits you, not before you get medication, before you can be able to be tested for what is ailing you. It's more than 7,000. There's something in economics they call opportunity cost. What you spend in the alternative of the other thing. You will spend 7,000 or have an Arambe for 7,000 instead of 300,000. That is what we are talking about.
You know, this, for purpose of academic discussion, this is good. But the two of you are treading the path that my generation, the generation before us have tread before. The ones who are right at independence seem to have got it right. They actually were not just talking. There were clear attempts at doing the things they said they wanted to do for the citizenry. They lost the plot somewhere before we go to the 70s. But there was clear evidence of the efforts that were being made. If something is expensive like SHA, what should it have cost? What would be a reasonable cost for the equivalent of the equipment that forms that system, as we are told? What would it have cost, and what is it expected to do? This expensive equipment that we have, is it doing what it's supposed to do? Does it achieve what it's supposed to achieve? Before this, we had an MES system, medical equipment system, that was promoted by the national government. The understanding, the thinking around it was really good. Buy very expensive equipment that hospitals may need on behalf of the county government, and then you deduct from whatever their allocation is. Good. But anybody who understands equipment of that nature and the expenses therein would also know that the manufacturers can lease that same equipment
to you.
Yes.
And that saves you from the obsolescence that comes with
yes,
equipment.
Because what they do is they provide you with the equipment and the commodities that help you run it, and in the event there's a new one comes along,
they swap it.
Yes. I'm talking about hospital equipment. Equipment that we use for administrative purposes, like, say, copiers, photocopiers. People who sell that equipment offer similar services. You don't actually have to buy it. The lease includes the services for that equipment.
And technology transfer.
Yes. So, exactly. So, I'm actually getting into this. The options to have gotten that same service, and which would have included technology transfer and the benefits that would accrue from it, was missed out with the direct purchase. And that's why we had stories of equipment in hospitals, we still do, that new equipment exists, but you can't actually utilize it because you don't have the personnel who can adequately utilize it. Or then you get it, when it needs services, the person who can service it, there's a problem with getting somebody who can actually service that equipment. So in the long run, the equipment doesn't quite provide the service it was intended for. So let's backtrack a bit and ask, is that the problem? No, it is a symptom. When we talk about government being involved in procurement, it is a problem that was highlighted in the Uhuru era, when all procurement officers in government were told to step aside for the time being. They were told to step aside. When Afia House got named as Mafia House, it was because there was some 5 billion shillings that somehow couldn't be traced. I always find this curious. But since this is a country that we deal in phantoms, it isn't so curious. If we have ghost workers, we have ghost schools, it means we have ghost students. So, if money mysteriously disappears, it shouldn't be so surprising, because these phantoms could easily walk away with that money. And since you can't see a ghost, it is understandable the money would disappear. But money doesn't disappear. Somebody has to take it. I found a curious point during that audit process, that there's a gentleman who worked in the finance department who, among the things the Auditor General found, was he had been paid a per diem for something like 370 days.
Where do you work?
That's the point. We all know how many days there are in a year. So somewhere, I think this guy got careless and forgot that it would have been perhaps interesting to stop at 300 and then wait for the following year to post whatever theft he wanted for the following year. All right? Yeah. What am I trying to say? When we see the inefficiencies and the problems that bedevil the government, let's have an honest conversation and not focus on the symptom, but look at where the problem began. Because any problem we are facing right now, if NHIF problems had been sorted out, the discussion of SHA would not be there, because there'd be no need to replace the system, would there?
No need.
If it needed an upgrade, that's what we needed to have done. The discussion we have about education. Those of us who taught when the 844 system came in, we know what is in the 844 system, and we've said many of the things that are being spoken of now were in the 844. Yes, they were. So did we need to change the whole system? Because change the whole system means you buy books, you change everything. Again, teachers. Yes. Yeah. So what happens? The procurement story comes back again. So we are always bedeviled with the issue of procurement. When issues arose about Adani, it was again procurement. Ujama, is it the best? All these things. Now, the citizenry may do well by being informed, but it would help tremendously if we started off by telling the truth. Okay. Any new system, whether it is SHA, you name it, it is going to have problems. This government failed to tell people the sort of teething problems this system was going to have. They failed. They sold the program as instant working, instant success. It can't be. Even if you pilot it, you will still have problems. But remember, this is universal health care. 5 counties, or was it 4, were piloted.
Yes.
We need to be told what they are piloting now with a larger, it's called a sample size, a larger group of counties, so that we know what to do, what to sort. Yes, exactly. There are these processes. So that by the time you're implementing, you have a fairly clear idea what you shouldn't do and what you should do. Okay. Now, I am of this persuasion. When we politic and we wish to point out the things we can do, we spend a lot more time on telling the public the things that our opponent has not done or the government in position has not done. Yet there are things you can do even with these systems we keep saying are failed, and you can guide people onto how to benefit if they exist. Nobody talks of the ways of fund. It exists. It may be limping, but it exists. The so-called youth fund we keep talking about, it exists.
But those ones have got better structures as opposed to what we currently have.
They have not been given as bad press.
Yes.
Again, it is because they have better structures.
No, Paul, it isn't the structures that I'm referring to. These funds had huge scandals at some point. What was lost in the conversation is those who benefit, because some people must have benefited. Yes. And I'm not talking about people who are reported to be walking around with sacks of cash, not those. Okay? Something must have been done that was seen. I am mitigating against the negativity of our approach to looking at issues in the country. Instead of focusing on, yes, this thing has a problem, but does it have anything that can be useful? Because the alternative that he suggests is get rid of it. So, but then we are back to square one. We haven't moved. It can't be that people who are seeking power from the government keep telling us they're going to do better by replacing. What do you mean you're going to do better by replacing?
There's something that Mokaya, you said in regards to perhaps even what CT is saying. You said that you're not the government spokesman.
Yes.
And so you will not, speak on their behalf.
I'll speak of what I know is true or what I believe is right. Before he came in, I was saying the customer journey towards SHA or SHIF is what we should focus on and not blanketly saying that it doesn't work. My brothers here said the youth fund does not work. But you can't turn
youth fund or not?
The youth, the hustler
fund, yes.
Hustler fund does not work. But you see, that blanket statement is inaccurate. It's politically correct because it might serve his interest. But people were loaned money, and that was the intention. Now, some people who call themselves leaders of this country went and told our young people, "Iyo pesa ni yenu kuleni, si lazima ulipe," and that is where it stopped working. The same thing we are talking.
That is also not a true statement. But continue.
Yes, the same thing we are saying about Nyota Fund. There are people who have stood on top of Prados and told people, "Iyo pesa ni ya serikali. You don't have to meaningfully apply it." I said here that I'm an advocate, and the good thing is, I've walked through the process of a PPP as a consultant towards provision of a PPP certificate, or at least an approval. The first question you're asked when you present a privately initiated proposal is this project bankable? By bankable, it means, will the money you're putting in come out when all factors are
will
kept
you be
constant?
able to pay
yourself?
to meet the obligation of the debt repayment?
The second question you ask, is there value for money? Is what you are providing actually realizable, and is it important? The third question you have to answer, what is the public cost-free alternative that you are offering? So when you answer the three questions, and then the fourth question you have to answer is, you will not need government investment. You don't need money to be injected into the project. If you answer the four questions correctly,
then you have a PPP.
And fulfill
the journey.
Yes. Then now you start doing something called a feasibility study. That feasibility study, now you are given a leader to guide you through what you have done. Because you have done initially a project proposal which had a feasibility study. Now you do the ground feasibility study, out of which now the supervisor from government, from the PPP unit, agrees with you. Now that's when you get the approval. Essentially what you are doing is you are providing a public function, but now with a private aspect. So when we are questioning this road, that there was the French and now the thing, I understand something expensive is nothing to celebrate. But have we interacted with the document? Have we seen whether the consideration of the PPP unit was right in accepting that this project is, number one, bankable, there's value for money, and there's no government injection, and there's no free alternative?
No, the government is obligated to explain why this thing is going to cost more than it was initially slated. It's incumbent upon them to explain, because if you're talking about a cost increase, remember, these are things that we will be paying for.
That's true.
So it's not an adversarial question. Let us understand why it is costing more. Is it really that difficult to ask?
50 billion.
Yeah, Materi, you were saying something.
First, one sage said that when you want to water a tree, you have to do it at the roots, not at the leaves.
Okay.
What this government has been doing is watering a tree, but at the leaves, not at the roots.
How exactly?
On this Nyota Fund, and I'm a proponent of skills development and capacity building, I keep on insisting. We have TVETs. It's a county function. The revenue share that you're giving to counties is 420. It's not even 450 billion the way it had been anticipated in the 10-point agenda. What government would have been doing now is putting a lot of resources, equipment, and staff in the TVETs to train our young people for them to get a market value skill or training. Once they have this, then they can be able to transition into business. I keep on insisting that you cannot give a young person who's not trained in anything 22,000. He hasn't studied entrepreneurship. He doesn't have a plumbing skill. He doesn't have a hairdressing skill. He doesn't have a driver license. He does not have a machine operation skill. And yet you're giving him 22,000 and you expect them to go and run a business.
I have to stop you right there. Do you know the criteria that was used for giving somebody that Nyota Fund?
Exactly. It was basic training for about a month, right? Basic training for about a month. Right.
In what?
In business development. And that is the issue that I have. For instance, even what he's talking about a cameraman. So basically that is photography. Is this particular person trained in photography first before he hires the camera? That is the skill that is supposed to be there. If you look at the countries, even the ones that the president is basically glossing and flossing about, like Singapore, it started first with capital development, human capital development, that you have to ensure that majority of your population have a skill that has market value. Once that skill is available, then they can be able to generate income from it. Once the income has been able to be generated, issues of housing, issues of infrastructure, they can be able to take care of themselves. In Singapore, healthcare is not free, but the people have enough income for them to be able to afford housing, they can be able to afford healthcare. But you cannot start by giving first a universal healthcare, then you come back to training. You cannot start from the back end. You have to start by first ensuring that people have a skill. They can be able to apply the skill to generate income. Once they generate that, they can now be able to access that which they think it's important. The same model actually also with South Korea. South Korea development route has always been about human capital development. And most of the countries that have been able to develop, even China in itself, it's purely about human capital development. The next thing, you talked about replicating copy-paste, and I like the discussion that Muga was bringing in. So we have Hustler Fund on one end.
Yes.
Then we have Youth Fund on the other end. Youth Fund had a board. It had a structure. It had auditors. It had staff. It had projects that were running across the country. Why come again and replicate and form now Hustler Fund? And yet, Youth Fund now is working, you have Hustler Fund is working. Now, Youth Fund, the kind of monies that they have, it's purely for recurrent. It's basically paying for the salaries of the personnel there. They cannot even be able to loan and finance projects by the youth across. Even you can't even give it like a number of 1,000 youth can be able to benefit because of budgetary constraints. When I was saying Hustler Fund does not work, it is not even my sentiment. It's the sentiment of the Auditor General. The Auditor General said 12 billion shillings that were sunk into Hustler Fund as a revolving fund has disappeared. Those people are not able to pay. Basically because the way it had been fashioned out, Hustler Fund had been fashioned out as a reward mechanism to the young people, right? The same way now, Nyota has been fashioned as a reward mechanism to be able to spur entrepreneurship among the young people. When you are doing this, exactly, are you telling them that it's a loan that Kenyans are going to pay for? Are you telling them that there is a responsibility?
Is it a loan?
In as far as, yes, it's a loan by the World Bank. This money will have to be paid for.
I thought it was a grant.
No, it's not. It's a loan. Kenya would have to pay for, and I think the minister also came out the other day, Minister C.S. Oparanya, a man who I really, really respect, came out and said it's actually a loan from the World Bank, and these monies have to be paid for. So the part of sensitization also when these funds are taking up, when we are taking up these funds among the youth, I think it's quite critical, and the youth need to understand that once they take this money, they have to do the due diligence, the fiduciary responsibility of ensuring that they put it into good use. Believe you me, from where I sit, they think it's just a token. Most of them, the kind of businesses that they are going actually to involve themselves in, if any, they cannot be able to ensure that they pay up.
Actually, you haven't actually read up on the Nyota Fund clearly. The training aspect, the details of when and how people will be trained, the individuals who are sought, people who had never been captured by previous funds that focused on the youth, who is doing the training. There's a component here that those other funds then have hand-holding, meaning even as you start the business that you are undertaking, somebody walks with you. A reputable institution with people who know how to do these things, engage to do this. There are very many components of that particular fund that you haven't mentioned. We cannot base our arguments on what we think create good sound bites when we seek to criticize the government. Criticism has to be part of a critique process where you know what was intended, and for it to be something that is abhorrent, we must see how it is not going to work. Then if that is the case, then let's start with all the funding that we've done for the youth. We speak about this not meeting the threshold. Yes, it can't. Do you know the percent? We know that 75% of our population is under the age of 35. That's around 45 million.
Our median age is 19.
Yes, exactly. So The Nyota Fund seeks to reach 820,000. So it is a drop in the ocean. But
it's actually 220.
No,
not 820.
In total, 820. That's why I said you need to read into these things and understand. I'm going by what I have read, 820, and the number they seek to meet in every county in the country.
Yes.
They have laid it out so clearly, it is very easy to critique it at every stage just by what they have told us they're going to do. But of significance is this. There are faults that this government has in structuring some of these programs that they have. It began with Nyota. Not Nyota, it began with Hustler.
Yes.
There were red flags everywhere. It's a simple fact. That you can rectify it when you began on the wrong footing is a completely different story. I don't know how you can. That thing was faulty from day one. It's a simple truth. Nyota is different. Nyota is not faulty from day one. If you look at it, and when people talk about 22,000 shillings being too little an amount to change things, I actually marvel, because how many people do you see selling maize along the street here, or selling ngumu with tea? How much do you such a person, if you gave them an infusion of just 5,000 shillings, do you know it would change their business completely? So how can 22,000 not be something that is considered significant? Okay, let's say then this thing doesn't work and it's nonsensical. What's the alternative? Because this is a seed that is being planted. 45 million young people in this country. A good portion of that number do not know what to do. 820, you're not really changing something fundamental, but you are starting to change. You're not changing it, you are starting. You're showing something can be done.
City was a teacher at some point, and he'll agree with me that the pass rate, or let's say if you want to say students who scored A- and above against the enrollment in Form 1 could not go beyond 20%.
Yes.
Does that mean we close our schools because not all students will get an A?
Look at the government investment in TVETs and the promotion of TVETs and the recognition of prior learning that we have with the Qualification Authority. There are all these things that the government seeks to want to do and probably don't talk adequately about. Given the number of young people, it's like this youth bulge caught those in leadership by surprise. And there are plans which are now being undertaken to try and meet the needs. They are far from meeting the needs, far. But you cannot say they have not been started. And you cannot say that attempts are being made to try and see how these things can be addressed. The real tragedy of our country is that we moved, in all these things we're talking about, we had them. So we actually had them. We had village polytechnics. These things that are supposed to help we had them. We had secondary schools that were predominantly technical.
Yes, you had woodwork.
Yes.
And design.
Yes, and there are schools that were not technical, but you are taught technical subjects. So you had a chance to. We had this entire system. This is the government trying to recreate. We had it. We regress. And it's like we delete all those things.
That's exactly my point.
And then we start again. Now, okay, we are starting again. That history should have taught us that we can do this thing and do it differently.
Yes.
Okay. Gentlemen, we've come to the end of the show, but I'll allow you 30 seconds each closing remarks. Is the country headed in the right direction, Alex?
From where I sit, the country is not headed in the right direction, but there's a lot of hope. 18 months down the line, I believe the sons and daughters of Raila Amolo Odinga, the political sons, are going to take over the realms of power, and they are going to change the trajectory that the country is taking to a people-centered, service-centered government.
All right. Otieno, last words.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak on this national platform. I'll just honor my grandfather and my forefathers by these 20 seconds of glory. They say in my language that woko na chomoraria onyora kwarengereiri. The direct construction of that proverb is, before you interact the soloist, make sure you have a better song and a better voice.
Thank you so much. That is where we come to a close. In the next hour, though, we want to talk about the Schools Bursary Scandal. I don't know if you guys are aware there's some 2.1 billion missing as far as bursaries are concerned. Well, that's a conversation in the next hour.
Radio Generation, the home of urban soul. This is the Radio Generation News.
Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga. Kenya is expecting heavy rains over the coming week, with the Kenya Meteorological Department warning of downpours from 19th of March to 24th, 2026. The heaviest rain is expected between March 20th and 23rd, and residents are being urged to prepare for floods, landslides, and low visibility, especially in high-risk areas. The Met Department says some areas could receive more than 20 millimeters of rain in a single day before the rainfall eases on March 24th. Youth leader and Westlands Member of Parliament aspirant Otieno Mokaya has criticized the rising culture of public insults in Kenyan politics. He says leaders should show restraint even when provoked and keep political debates respectful, avoiding attacks on families or personal matters.
There is the place of statesmanship and the mirror of society that leaders hold. It doesn't matter whether you hold a position currently, you held it before. If when people gather and congregate, you're given a microphone to speak, then it speaks to responsibility, that they trust that your words will not, your tongue will not grow bones and hurt people. So it doesn't matter the side where you lean. A leader saying things that are being said is it does not accord respect to the description of a leader. That said, as growing up as kids, my grandfather, Mokaya, said that I was training me on how to survive in the streets. He told me when a dog is barking at you, if you run, you'll get beaten. If you stand or bark at the dog will be surprised. And which human is this barking at me? And it won't bite you.
Leaders in Isili are calling on the government to act quickly over rising cases of abductions in the area. Business people, human rights defenders and families say several traders have been taken in what they describe as suspicious late-night raids. One of those still missing is businessman Haji Abdi Ali, whose family says they continue to wait for answers about his whereabouts.
Government to please help us bring our dad home. Yes. Today might be the last day of Ramadan. Tomorrow might be. Yet our family did not have the leader of the family.
The manner in which he was abducted points out to security agencies being behind this.
He was taken by armed individuals dressed in jungle green uniforms. Since that moment, his whereabouts remain unknown.
Music giant Sony Music says it has requested the removal of more than 135,000 songs by fraudsters impersonating its artists on streaming services. The so-called deepfakes were created using generative AI and targeted some of the company's biggest acts, who include Beyonce, Queen, and Harry Styles. The company says the number of songs generated in this fashion is only increasing as artificial intelligence technology becomes cheaper and easier to access. And that's the truth on Radio Generation. Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the guests and do not necessarily reflect the views of Radio Generation. Radio Generation assumes no responsibility or liability for the interviewee's views. This is Radio Generation. In the beginning, there was morning radio. But now there is Radio Generation's The People's Breakfast, curious and bold, getting facts from the shadows.
That's what it is.
Now, as the city wakes and secrets stir, a bright new voice shines. The People's Breakfast, your morning, your voice, your journey. Good morning.
Good morning, my neighbor.
Welcome to the home of hard truths and bold insights, Radio Generation.
A very good morning to you. Welcome back. This is a Radio Generation, the People's Breakfast. It is 6 minutes past 9 o'clock. And we want to have a very important conversation because wherever money is involved, we have got to raise questions, right? But before we do that, salamu ziwafikie watu hapa kadha wa kadha. There's Robert Koros. How are you doing? Majok, I see you. There's Julde Mohammed, VP. Chico Daniels as well. I see you. Polycarp Gikenyi. Good morning. Nimesema Robert Koros, nimekusema na kuna wengine kadha wa kadha hapa hivi. You might not necessarily see. Choose veracity. Majina ziko huku kwa social media, man. I said Benny Alwide. I think that's how you pronounce that name. And many of you, which I will not necessarily go through right now. But in this particular hour, like I told you in the previous, a couple of minutes ago actually, we want to talk about the Schools Bursary Scandal. And with us is Janet Oko. She is the Executive Director, Tunza Mtoto Coalition. Janet, Paul, good morning.
Before
you
answer the question,
right?
Can I tell her the proverb?
Actually, you can.
Then can I ask her what she thinks about the proverb?
Yes, you can.
Thank you very much.
Janet, good morning.
Good morning. You didn't have a plan to ask me. Am I old so that I can interpret proverbs? Is that your observation this morning, City? Because you didn't have the plan to.
No, actually, he did have the plan.
Okay.
Every morning we have this proverb.
I thought he looked at me and I looked like a proverb interpreter.
We'll find out shortly.
A proverb from the Republic of Tunisia. Even if he wears a valuable harness, the donkey does not turn into a racehorse.
Oh my goodness. Does that need interpretation? It is what it is.
All right.
Donkey will be donkey any day.
Any day.
Doesn't matter even if you do lipstick to it, even if you do anything. It can never be a zebra.
Yeah. Someone else
a donkey.
Someone else spoke about lipstick. Do we have donkeys that applied lipstick on in this world somewhere?
Well, the phrase that is often used in association, the animal associated with lipstick is a pig. And they say even if you apply lipstick to a pig, and I think Janet is right.
It's sort of saying even if you decorate it to what length, at one point it would still fart in public. It's a donkey.
Yeah, you're actually very right.
Yeah.
And it might kick you as well.
Yeah.
Kicking
was not as serious as.
All right, Janet. Interesting way of looking at things. The Auditor General raised a query.
Yes.
Of this 2.1 billion Kenya shillings that is missing from bursaries. What exactly is the question here? Is the money missing? Has it been misplaced? Is it somewhere waiting to be disbursed? Is it a miscalculation? What is it? Is it a typing error like we were once told by former cabinet secretary at the time, Uhuru Kenyatta?
Yeah. No, and I think that it's really, today's problem is a bit deeper. And it's very sad. Why? Because this is the oversight body. This is Parliament we are talking about. The bursary funds have not been lost at the Ministry of Education level or at the Ministry of Finance level. This is Parliament we are talking about. Now, Parliament is the oversight body. So the key question this morning is who oversights the oversight? So who oversights the oversight? Because severally we have seen members of Parliament asking questions, to other departments when there is that kind of a situation. But this morning, it is Parliament. It is members of Parliament who have given whoever it is that they have given. Some of them have chosen to keep the money. Some of them have chosen to do whatever it is that they have done with the money. And the Auditor General is saying there is no evidence that 2.1 billion Kenya shillings benefited children.
Anyone, yes. Yeah. You're right.
It's not a gossip. It is not a rumor. This is the constitutional body charged with the mandate of telling Kenyans how our money has been spent, that is telling us today that 2.1 billion shillings cannot be accounted for.
So do we accept and move on?
No, we cannot accept and move on. There are Kenyans of goodwill who really take it upon themselves to ask the right questions, and that is coming. But I want to provide some bits of background here, so that Kenyans can really see what exactly we are talking about. Not a long time ago, we were treated to some report that there were quite some billions lost in ghost students. And so it began with a joke that the PS was telling to the members of parliament. I call it a joke because all of them are clearly in a cahoot. And he was telling the members of parliament, we are doing some audit, and we have discovered so far, we have not finished interrogating all the schools. But so the ones we have interrogated, 50,000, we have discovered 50,000 ghost students. Now you need to think about ghost 50,000 in the context of each learner was sent 22,000 Kenya shillings. So for you to see that joke equals 2 billion Kenya shillings. So the PS will be telling the members of parliament that we have 50,000 ghost students. Up to date, there is no report that exists from parliament. To want to, I want to really paint a picture of the oversight body that we have as Kenyans, so that then we can have a good background of what is the problem that we are facing as a country,
and who we are dealing with.
So after that joke was told, a joke that is worth 2 billion Kenya shillings, Parliament has not followed up. Parliament has not demanded that full disclosures be made. Be that as it may, the Ministry of Education itself did an audit, a sort of a review, and it gave us a report. And out of that report, they attempted to say that we have so far found out that there are certain schools, that gave us fictitious data, exaggerated data, or fraudulent data. And we are going to be forwarding this to the DCI. We are forwarding this report to the Teacher Service Commission. Now, by way of counting, we are hitting a month since that report was released by the Ministry of Education. And Parliament, once again, has remained tight-lipped, hearing no evil and seeing no evil. So that now, when we are coming to wonder again about the loss of 2.1 billion shillings, are you expecting Parliament to say anything? Kenyans are on their own. And there's a competition to loot public funds. We cannot be entertaining every day a headline of 2.1. Do you realize that nowadays you're not talking about millions? This country is not losing millions anymore.
Stop talking about millions.
Million for this government is loose change. We are now officially losing billions in Kenya shillings. And it is not an acceptable state of affairs. And why do I say this? I say this with a lot of anger. Please steal money belonging to roads. Steal money belonging to stadiums. But keep off money belonging to children. It's immoral. It's evil. You're not looking good. And when you look at the bigger picture, like the president is able to ignore a whole gazette notice, a whole newspaper front pager, talking about 2.1 billion Kenya shillings that has been lost to bursaries. But he cannot ignore a comment that he has lost to it.
But let me ask you, what exactly can the president do as far as that headline of 2.1
billion?
Tone
at the top. I have said that 1,000,001 times. It is tone at the top. How do everyone knows what we are dealing with, and everyone knows their boss. Yes, their bosses where a headline that you have lost 100 shillings will get you sacked from your job. But a headline worth 2.1 billion shillings is not batting anybody's eye. So when people know you, when people learn you, that You probably are an accomplice in this, or you probably are too polite at corruption, or you probably, this is not where you're looking at. You know, I mean, really, this is not, there is no amount of headline about losing Kenyan funds that has shaken our president. Dare me with any evidence to show me where the president has actually spoken, not even taking action. He is not known for taking action against corruption.
Okay.
Show me evidence for where he has taken action against corruption. But he is known for answering every comment, including one polite comment about his losing weight, which was supposed to be a compliment in my view. But he has all the time to answer a comment about losing weight. But he has no comment about 2.1 billion Kenya shillings belonging to children. What kind of a person are we dealing with?
You know, you're actually right, because if today a company like, say, Safaricom wakes up and they find that some random 100 million is missing from their systems,
correct,
people's heads will roll.
People's heads will roll.
Yeah.
But this is a whole sector. We are entertaining headlines for consecutively. We are no longer losing millions in this sector. No, we are losing billions. And guess what? A trailblazer will come. Head teachers are supposed to understand that this country doesn't have money. Head teachers are supposed to tighten their belts.
Yeah.
Parents are supposed to add more school fees because there is no money in this country. There is no money. The only language that the president knows how to tell sectors like education and health is that we are paying loans. That is the gospel that you will hear. We are paying loans. The previous government was extravagant. That is what we will hear. But when we are losing 2.1 billion shillings, he will not be saying a thing. I mean,
you know, there's a couple of weeks ago, there's a betting company that lost some money. It was a couple of millions, and they literally traced the individual that was responsible for that loss to his bedroom, where he had kept all his computers and he was probably, you know, managing that system. If we can do that for such a small entity, because a betting company is a small entity compared to the government of Kenya or to the bursary fund, for example, why is it so difficult for us to just pinpoint, okay, pesa ngapi ulipatiwa kama mheshimiwa, okay, X amount of money, this is what is missing, we kuja hapa sasa tueleze vizuri. What is so difficult?
When the Auditor General produces a report, that report goes to Parliament. Parliament having debated on it, Parliament or the committees in Parliament that deal with these things, they are supposed to direct the action that should be taken to the relevant bodies. Okay? Because Parliament doesn't have prosecutorial powers, it doesn't have powers to arrest anybody, but it can direct action to be taken.
Yes.
So the question I think that Janet was asking, which I will also ask, when have you heard Parliament directing that action is taken in such matters? Because that actually is the function. When the Auditor General has listed those issues, what we see committees doing is inviting members of Parliament or elected leaders to come and give an account. That we see from time to time. And thereafter, because there has to be a thereafter. See, if an issue like this, which involves now members of Parliament, and it does involve members of Parliament, should we wait and see what Parliament is going to do? Should we wait and see the action that is going to be taken by them and how they're going to handle this matter, which involves some of their own? Because it is clear, if you read what the Nation detailed, where the number of people who have applied for a bursary are, say, for example, 100. But what has been disbursed is for 250 people. So you're wondering, hey?
I know that.
So this 150, where did they go? And it isn't one member of Parliament. You see that thing over and over and over. There was a case that I looked at which was, in my mind, particularly fantastic. There were no applications whatsoever, and yet money was disbursed for this same activity, which required people to apply for it. So you wonder, but that person should have been brought in a long time ago to explain where that money actually went. There were no applications to support the disbursement, but the money was disbursed. To whom was it disbursed? It's not really that difficult a question to ask, is it?
It's not.
We had a governor who was the governor of Kiambu, their collective father. One of the things that got him into trouble was the traced money that went into his account. They went into his wife's account. They went into his daughter's account. They traced it. So the question that were asked was simple and straightforward. We saw action being taken. He's now out on bond. But we saw action being taken. You cannot say nothing happened. So the case that was brought out by the Auditor General and that the nation now spoke of in great detail.
Yes.
And Janet is right here. You know, this one touches the very heart and soul of Kenyans. This is money that was intended to further the knowledge gathering, what we call education of young people. And somebody has seen fit to misappropriate it.
You know the headlines, I was actually just looking at the headlines around education in this country. So for example, there's one here of millions of learners at risk as school feeding budget falls short by 8 billion. Audit, this is from yesterday. Auditor General raises questions over 92.8 billion school capitation funds. You have just said that we are playing a lot with our children's money. So that what do we do? Because after these headlines, it's like we just move on to the next thing.
Yeah, I think Kenyans are doing something, and I really like the tempo. Kenyans are doing something for themselves, because I like giving an example of when Mwai Kibaki came into power. And probably I'm lucky to have been grown up enough. I think I was in the second year at the university that time. And we all remember that this country had gone into some place. And it will go to Muyekele kwa Kamawe Flani, and now we were done with the country.
Yeah.
But when Mwai Kibaki came in, immediately we saw random and really quite a lot of purge against corruption. And the team of people that he gathered together were people that were known hard workers, people that did really quite some bits. And there was a certain tone that Mwai Kibaki did set. And it was a tone of work. It was a tone of, really diligent public service. And we saw the transformation that this country went through, having come from the near negatives, to a place where we could all look around and really feel it and just say that, it looks like we are in some country. So I like saying that the tone at the top really contributes a lot to many things that happen. Sadly, we cannot say so at current. I always wonder, we are 1.5 years away from the elections. And for me, it's still not time for campaigning. It's time for working for Kenyans. I always wonder where the president gets all the time to hang around rooftops of cars, in every market, in every small river opening, every small classroom coming up. And I wonder, where people, at what point do people think about real things? I will tell you that sectors like education and health, and of course even the economics, the money sectors, they require deep thinking. Not thinking for today, not thinking for the sake of exciting the vote for tomorrow. But really, when you're planning for children, you plan in the long term. Because you're very sure if you invested money in primary school, there is something you're harvesting. At secondary school, you will be receiving children that are happy, children that have reaped the full potential in terms of literacy and in terms of numeracy. So, and it's not something that you can touch. But it's a feeling. It's a feeling sort of that fills every home, But if you don't do that, and you factor so much, or you focus so much on talking to people that I am doing this, do you know that those people know that for sure you're not doing that? Because when you're saying that every child is in classroom, is in class, na huyo mama mwenye unaongelesha ameacha mtoto wake kwa nyumba, so. For me, I think Kenyans really must think very, 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 very hard about the role of politics and how politics affects us. We have decided by our constitution that the people that are going to, how we are going to elect the people that lead us, and the role that those people shall play. Politics play a very big role. And the president that you vote for, dear Kenyan, listening to me today, will determine if your child will go to school or not. Speaking to you when you existed during Kibaki's time, during Huru's time, and now during Ruto's time, I am very sure Kenyans can relate with every single sentence that I am saying.
Janet, if the president were to stay in State House, if we were not to see him around, like he was in Western the other day, at one point he was in Ukambani, Tukamwana, Lukwanga, Northeastern, I think. Him staying in State House, does this mean that he's working? It just means that he's staying in State House.
We know what work means. We know what work means. Yes. And we know that between here and the rooftops and the where, there is a time you sit still.
Yeah.
Read stuff. Listen. Give your input. Contribute to policy. Interrogate policy. You cannot do that on a rooftop. People have tried to imagine that other people are fools. No, guys are not fools. I mean, people have done this thing. People have done this thing. Because so what we are looking at right now, and it's a bad habit. We cannot say that there is any one point that this government concentrated on delivering results. They were on the rooftop from the first day, and the results are very clear. Bad planning, bad planning across every sector. Yeah. And people think that putting up a stadium is results. I mean, for why are you putting up a stadium and people cannot participate in Olympic Games? They cannot go to common Tunisia. They cannot go. Why is the stadium there? Why are we putting up? We people are putting up infrastructure programs because they have kickbacks. I mean, it has got no relationship with the well-being of the people. It has no relationship on developing talents of people. If it were, we could have seen the same movement in developing the software that comes with the whole infrastructure of a stadium. But you cannot put mortar and concrete, cut away with 2 billion shillings, and then come and tell us the way we are developing. Which sports?
This country has got 22 cabinet secretaries.
Yes.
When we are seeing issues with the education sector, for example, aren't we supposed to be asking the CS for education?
No, I will not ask the CS for education because when the president goes to Marsabit, he carries the CS with him. Yes, he carries the CS. For what use is it when you go to Kambani and you carry 4 cabinet secretaries with you and their PSS and everybody else in the office? What exactly are we doing? What are we doing? But because the only thing that is important to the president of this country is securing votes, that's the only thing that is important to him. It does not matter that there is a whole headline, and this one I'm taking him head on.
Yeah.
It does not matter that there is a 2.1 billion headline. You will say nothing, but you will spend a whole 5 minutes commenting about your weight loss. No.
There was a president before Ruto called Uhuru, and he's credited with building something we call the expressway. That thing was criticized resoundingly. Any negative thing that could have been said about it was said. That's not what people are saying now. People are blessing the expressway. They're saying, without this expressway.
Nowadays, I'm getting to Westlands in 15 minutes.
Not even that. In the course of a day, if I'm willing to spend those shillings, I can be on Mombasa Road within a very, very short time. Kitengela within a very short time.
Let me tell you, City. Results do not lie. Results do not lie. I will give you a very good example. The Gen Zs that we are seeing now, which are the current blessing to this country called Kenya, because a lot of millennials and their generations down there were captives of what I do not know. But maybe when I look at my generation, we got so many dropouts, And by the time I think I was moving to Form 1, a lot of my peers that I went with to primary school, I think not like on a factual basis, I think we were 87 in our class, if I remember very well. And it's only about 11 that went to secondary school. That is in the year of the Lord, 1995. Out of 87 that we were in class, it's only about 11 of us that went to high school.
Where did the others go?
Not high school.
Not high school. So they did not go to high school. And that time even, polytechnics weren't common, or even the TVETs weren't common. So a lot of those guys, they just like chilling out. After
Jobless
class 8, after class 8, they're just chilling. And before you know it, someone has married. That was the life, that time. But then with Mwai Kibaki coming in, and the free education, and then came in Uhuru also expanded free-day secondary education, we have seen the effect of that. And the amount of awareness that you're seeing with the Gen Z. You have listened to the Gen Z. You know our generation takes some lies until you feel embarrassed. Like politicians can really tell you something and then you're like, yeah, plainly, there's a confusion here. But you are not able to tell that to the Gen Zs. Why? There's a time in this country, especially when like I was bringing up my kids, you could not get a house help. Everybody was in school. And I know many women of my age will attest to that. Every girl was in school. The truth of the matter is, at current, we have seen a reversal of that. If I show you the messages about the children who are out of school, I don't deal with a very big sector. But in Kasarani alone, the number of children that tuko shule, we are now seeing girls wakitafuta kazi wakiwa form 2. And that's why I'm saying results do not lie. You can stand on a rooftop of a car as long as you want and issue promises and promises and promises, but results do not lie. If children are not in school, they are just not in school. If a road has not been fixed, it has just not been fixed. It doesn't matter how many promises you wake up and make. It doesn't matter how many more assurances that you get up and make. Work has got to be done. And let me also say something at the same breath, especially when I was talking about commenting about non-issues and really not commenting about the issues. There's an issue that really affects us so much as a sector. We spend a lot of time, class time and even money, paying teachers to teach us and our children about morals. Is it? Now, morals are caught and taught. It does not matter how long we spend teaching children about social ethics and morals. If only it will take a microphone and one rooftop to undo that whole lesson that the teachers taught us. Our leaders must respect the education sector. We cannot be having children in a classroom being taught about how to address each other in a civil manner, and then it's taking the president to undo a whole 45 minutes lesson.
How did he do that? How did the president do that? How did he dismantle this whole...
I'm talking about addressing each other in a civil manner and really speaking to people respectfully. How will you tell your child asitusi mwenzake? Where will you be coming from? Utamwambia asitusi mwenzake kwa sababu ni makosa why? And our children will ask us those questions. Ni makosa kwa nini? But so and so, sort of, it's just saying that the things that we do and the things that we want children to do and other people to do. And we imagine tomorrow when Gen Zs will be speaking to you without respect, you will ask who are their mothers. We want to ask who is your mother. Yes. We asked our children the other day. These children, and the same president saying the children have been brought up badly. Who brought him up? Yes, who brought him up? So we have seen clips of Gen Zs expressing themselves, especially in funerals. And we have been the first people to castigate them. So what happens when it is us? Why are we thinking that we are above reproach?
Really, and I'll ask this because I honestly want to understand the role of the president in this. And of course, I know him being the head of this country, he has some responsibility of sorts. But I just want to understand how we can connect this
Not
to
some
him.
responsibility of sorts. It is not okay for you
to just... It is the primary responsibility.
It is the primary responsibility. Who carried the Bible to defend the Constitution? Nobody else.
All right. So when MPs have misused this money, because at the end of the day it is the NGCDF, I want us to see how the president comes into this, because if my member of parliament decides to vamoose with the entire 300 million,
yes, and that's why I'm saying we come back to one place, that there is one person who swore to protect the constitution of this country, correct? This same person can now not turn around and say parliament is independent. We are not going to allow him to hide under the independence of parliament. We have seen him and we have evidence of him calling parliament and lecturing him like small boys. Withdraw the finance bill. True or false?
True.
We were in this country. At that particular time, parliament was not independent. This selective amnesia has to come to an end. It has to come to an end. And people have to look each other eyeball to eyeball. And we tell each other, crap is crap. It doesn't matter the donkey that you were talking about here. Whether you apply lipstick or you do diapers to it, a donkey is a donkey. Eyeball to eyeball, Mr. President. No,
but
it is not parliament. You are the leader of this country. We cannot allow education money to just cut away with few people, and you are tight-lipped. You will not speak. We will poke you until you speak, because we have seen, spoken to, you speak back. If you can speak back about your weight loss, can you speak about the loss of funds in the education sector? We want you to start with ghost students. Speak about ghost students. We want you to speak about the loss of bursary funds. You will not go scot-free with this one, because we know you speak even about non-issues, even about issues that are of no importance to this nation. You speak about the issues that are important to our children.
How do we blame the president for the failure of our elected leaders who capitulate to whatever it is that they face and make them kowtow out what the president wants? They are independent. The president doesn't elect them. We do. So when they sell our birthright and the delegated power we give them, they sell it. How do we blame the president for that one?
It is not their money they are stealing. They are stealing monies belonging to this nation. Who is the common denominator here? Who is the common denominator? It is the president. It is the president. We do not want to go knocking to each and every member of parliament's house to ask, hey, where is the 200 million? No. We don't have that time. We don't have that time.
Janet,
we will camp outside State House and demand that the president calls this country to order. We are demanding that the president calls this country to order. Honestly speaking, it is not okay for every day in this nation that we are losing billions. Every headline is about we are losing this money. Every headline is about we are losing the other money. And I have no problem with him. I know their structures. I know there is DCI. I know there is TSC who is supposed to have done ABC and D.
ESCC.
I know there is individual. ESCC is supposed to have acted. But hey, no, there is one common denominator that we know. And that person is the president of this country. Is he comfortable? Is he comfortable?
You know, Janet,
what is he saying? At least let him say a word.
Okay. Janet, the point you make is valid. But let me say something that we can either invalidate or validate. We elect MCAs separately. We elect members of parliament separately. Women rep, all these people, we elect them separately. The person who I feel is most accountable to me and closest is my MCA. Because that's the person who represents me at the ward level. Okay? I'm not letting the members of parliament get away with this one.
And they
have a responsibility,
and they shouldn't.
And
they shouldn't. And I have said here that for all intents and purposes, we have not existed at a time when Parliament, the August House, has embarrassed Kenyans, such as this time.
Yes.
Such as this time.
Yes.
That has been said. But we are saying that there is one person that carries the biggest responsibility, and we have seen him in the past sit members of parliament down and tell them, no, it is not this direction, it is this direction. We have evidence, do we not?
We do.
We have evidence.
But
so let nobody turn around and talk to us about independence of parliament when it is convenient for him to talk to us about independence of parliament.
And to the same Kenyans who, when we see that happening, we tell the president, oh, now you see you're overstepping your mandate. Oh, now you're meddling in this affair.
No, we are not talking about the president overstepping his mandate. We are just talking about a president.
We tell him that he's
who
meddling
appears,
in an independent institution.
Can he behave as if he is feeling a certain loss? It's just that we are not saying, you know, it is the same parliament that has not passed a law that can cause members of whatever constituency to recall them. So it's like we are not going to behave like we are helpless. No, we are not helpless. We are saying we have known this regime. We have seen it. We have seen its body language and its intentions, and we are saying this is the wrong government for the children of Kenya. You cannot entertain all this money skating away with people, and the only thing that you want to tell our children is where do they take their dreams? When are they going to be educated? When are we going to build classrooms? When are we going to have the right teaching and learning and teaching materials in schools? When is that? They postpone their dreams.
Yeah.
Is that what we are saying? But on the other mouth, we have a lot of money. We have all this infrastructure fund. We are launching the standard gauge railway. Does it matter? Does the education dream matter to our president? Does it matter? If it mattered to him, he would have chased these thieves of children's resources to their rat holes. That is what he would have done.
Yeah, is it possible to pursue some of these MPs, or rather the MPs that have been implicated in this? So, for example, some of the constituencies that have been flagged. There's Kasarani, Dagoretti South, Embakasi South in Nairobi, Mbone, Makueni, Kaiti and Kibwezi East. Is it not possible to actually say, okay, am I coming from, for example, Bomachoge, Chache? The MP for Bomachoge, aendewe tu na ambiwe niaje. Sasa, you have been implicated in this. So the people of Bomachoge, waende tu kwa MP wao, and they deal with him then. The people of Embakasi Central, they go to the MP and deal with him there and then, as opposed to having to go and camp, for example, at State House, which again might take forever to even get there.
No, I know that there are cells of civil society organizations that are doing quite much. They are isolating constituency per constituency and trying to really put in the figures and just seeing what exactly are we talking about and what actions can people have wananchi taking. But that is okay. And I want to tell you, I've been an activist for the whole of my working life.
All right.
And I know these people that you're telling come together. Sometimes they lack the resources to be able to do all these things that you're talking about. So just telling wananchi, na si nyinyi mfanye, sometimes it sounds so easy. But logistically, I have known that I have funded some of these initiatives. It is me who will fund. Wananchi come, please sit here. I photocopy the papers. I fund public address systems, and I do. It's quite a lot of work that we are asking for citizens to do when they have already paid tax. It's not acceptable. We are not going to pay people as heavily as we do, and then again, they convert us to rats to chase them. We chase them around the corner. We are not going to do that. We are going to tell the president, can you establish the right tone for this republic? Can you behave as if it's abnormal to steal public funds? Can you at least behave like it's abnormal to steal public funds? Stop behaving as if it's business as usual na kila mtu anajitafutia and then you want to call it ujanja. You want to call it kujipanga. No, it is theft. It is theft. Public resources hakuna kujipanga hapo.
You and I are in agreement on that particular one. Let me ask the question. Do I hear you to be saying, look, we live in Kenya and we know the power the president has. So instead of talking ourselves black in the face or deep purple, talking to this not very useful members of parliament that we have.
They are not useful.
Why don't we just ask the president and the president, talk to these fellows, get
it
this
is
thing
not
done.
talk to these fellows.
Yes. Crack the whip.
Can he cause the EACC? I know what I'm talking about.
Crack the whip.
Can he cause can Mr. President just let institutions to work the way they're supposed to work? Tell me, for God's sake, why hasn't the EACC moved? Okay, forget about the 2.1 billion shillings fraud. It is so latest. Yeah, so depending on the speed that we have seen our institutions moving, they probably have not even realized that there is a problem. Okay, we have let them know today that there is a problem. Please, you guys move now. There is a problem of the ghost students, highly televised. The EACC has not moved, but the EACC will move at electric speed to arrest a traffic officer who is taking 2,000 shillings on the road.
Actually 50 bob.
Shame on you. We know you. That is not, stop lying to Kenyans. Let's stop lying to Kenyans. The EACC is not aware that the Ministry of Education lost money to ghost schools. What have you done? Zero. The DCI will be all over the place, chasing private people and doing cat and mouse games. They are criminal. These are criminal issues, especially on the ghost students. Forging, falsifying data. Those are criminal elements. He has not moved. The DCI has not been moved. Or at least he has not been instructed to move. That is the kind of country that we are talking about. And I refuse to take the problem elsewhere. You will not see me at EACC. No. Mr. President has set the tone of this country wrong. He has set the tone of this country wrong. Have you ever heard him saying anything about from promising action about corruption? Therefore, 3.5 years down the line, Mr. President, since your last promise, can you at least tomorrow, when you go to any rooftop, can you care to just offer 2 cases that have been prosecuted successfully, or even not even successful, no, attempted to be prosecuted by your government, before you promise us how you will punish these ones? Can you care at least? 3.5 since you took office, years. Can you show us 1 case? I can show him the headlines. I can show him the headlines upon headlines upon headlines of the monies that have been lost when he has been president.
Has actually anyone in this country been jailed because of corruption?
Yes. Don't talk about jail. Okay, we are talking about this tenure.
Yes, people have been jailed. Yes.
When? City, you will give us data.
Do you know of someone?
Who has been jailed for corruption? Yes, but I mentioned it earlier on, Ferdinand Waititu.
See, the guy was watching Safari Radio.
He was out on bail.
He's out on bail.
Every offense is bailable, Buana.
Ferdinand Waititu, yes.
Our laws allow you
to receive bail. Let me ask you. There is this huge, forget about the Waititu issue. In fact, it did not even take place during this regime.
No, I was responding to the question he asked.
We are talking about
this particular regime. If I'm to go by the standards that we've set over time, these things tend to happen perhaps in the second term. Let's look at the Kibaki era, okay, and when it is people who are close to the president lost their jobs. Okay, it was not. Was it during his first term? You see, when a president sets in motion the process that he has for the country, one of the things that he does is he meets resistance.
From who?
Oh, the status quo. There's always resistance. Even if you're the president and you've won and you want to change things. Remember, the government is running. It doesn't matter whether you're president. The government is moving. There are things that are happening. You inherit something that is already moving. It isn't dead when you come in. So, Kibaki seemed to have understood something most people didn't understand. He simply halted projects. He said, sorry, we are not doing anything new. We will take an audit of what it is we're doing. We're going to look at KRA. We're going to look at how it is we collect our money. So this issue of new projects, for this first year, forget. We're not doing anything. So the possibility of the procurement processes that are at the heart of our corruption, he more or less put a halt to it. It didn't appear so, but that's exactly what he did.
Bad leadership?
That is excellent leadership. He understood what to do. He understood. Then he brought in someone who understood how to run a revenue organization called KRA then. And they set up systems that guarantee that everybody who thought they were clever in ways in which they would not pay taxes, you are caught. So somehow the taxes just kept rising and rising and rising. By the time a president gets to the point where what we're borrowing is just 5% of what we need, that is serious progress. In fact, arguably, by some economists, there was a year we did not need to borrow at all. Meaning, we had gotten to a point where we were actually measuring our clothes according to the fabric that we had. Now, that to me is total progress. And anything else that may be wrong with that government, I will say, yeah, I've heard, but we've gotten to this point. Then, the Uhuru government came in. We had been accelerating. It's like we stopped and started decelerating because the very process and program that we had with money and borrowing, we didn't go back to it. We did something that could not have been anticipated, but it was in the name of development. And had that been the actualization, the amounts that we borrowed. What am I saying? I am saying, just like the government is a continuum, the good things within government can be. The bad things, unfortunately, in our case, is what we make a continuum. Decisions that do not achieve what it is that we are told they're supposed to achieve. So this government comes along. Every government inherits something. When you talked about education, I am an educator myself. So things of education interest me. When Moi became president, there was one university in the country. By the time he was leaving, they were 15. Kibaki came in, and by the way, if you look at the enrollment in schools, whether it's a milk program or what have you, the enrollment in the Moi era, from around 70, it increased something like 9-fold. Kibaki's increased 5-fold, but universities increased to 65. So that's what I'm calling a continuum. Somebody starts, the person who takes over, you can see the progression, you can see the development. Now, my judgment of the Uhuru and Ruto era is, where do we see the continuum? The continuum is in borrowing huge amounts of money and in speaking about spending huge amounts of money. But more significantly, this matter we are discussing, in the Uhuru era, Matiang'i himself, when he was Minister of Education, talked to us about Go Schools. He even gave a number. I'm talking about 2016. He gave a number. The very thing we're discussing now happened then. You heard the number and that is it. One did not hear of anybody being arrested. One did not hear about headmasters, people in the Ministry of Education. You have been an activist in the education field. Did you hear, maybe I missed it, did you hear people being arrested, people being taken in? So that continuum is with us now. So when I say that you inherit a system, that system seems to be operational. And the nature of this beast is it doesn't decrease, it increases. So we give more money to education. And when you look at the amounts, see, we added it, it's now around 700 and something billion, isn't it? Haki, unless I don't understand 1 + 1, is that money not enough to sort out these educational issues that we have? Is it not? Janet, you're the one who deals in that field.
I was listening to you very keenly, and I'll pick a few things. One of the things that have been continued, or could have been continued, let me just say could have been continued, is Uhuru's government continued expanding the gains that Kibaki made.
Like which ones?
We remained on toes on free day secondary education. Confirm.
True.
We remained on toes.
True.
In fact, it is Uhuru's government that increased the amount of capitation from 10,000 to 22,000.
It is.
It is it?
Yes, it is.
Let's take that one example. Today, what do we have?
It's a reduction.
It's a reduction.
Yes.
I'm just talking to you about, there are big things that will affect other people, but there are small things that affect the common mwananchi. Common mwananchi.
Yes.
And for me, that's what I love sticking with. Because a lot of the times, it's not about us. Every time, it has to be about the child. It has to be about that child. So when you look at a government reducing the amount of capitation almost by half without an explanation, without an explanation, there is a way you would rationalize and say, no, we have provided this. So these cost elements have been taken over, So this now is the cost. So you just come in and you say, shh, you will not stop at that. Even that 16,000 that you have reduced the money to, you will not send it. You will not send it. As at last year, schools closed with about 7,000. 7,000. I'm telling you. Without explanation, again. Without explanation. And nobody saying we will either send or we will not send. But it's just we have other priorities. And this is not one of our priorities. For me, no. Number two.
You're spot on, Janet.
Let's talk about the examination fees. Let's talk about examination fees. So I do not want to remain vague. I am with the issues that you know and I know. By the time the government of Uhuru Kenyatta was introducing the examination fees waiver, it is not a popularity. It is not.
It wasn't a populist move.
It was not a populist move.
What was it?
I have told you severally that the 5,000 Kenya shillings that is required for children to facilitate the Kenya National Examinations Council to administer the examinations, many children will not afford it, and it is a fact. So if we think that this KCSE is very important and it is something to transition to go to their next level, why would we watch children, we pay for them school, we send money to schools all the way to Form 4, only that they cannot be able to sit that examination? I have personally paid for several, probably thousands of children before this waiver, before this particular waiver. Mtoto amefukuzwa. Even in the villages, KCPE was about 800 shillings at some point. But mtoto hana. That was the background. That is where the government was coming in to pay this 5,000 shillings as a waiver to actually contribute to the 100% transition that we are talking about. Let me tell you, that is what matters to the parents of this country. You can build SGRs, you can build whatever it is that you build. But the thing that sits very deeply in the hearts of parents in this country is the education of their children.
True.
That happened. So when I sat down and I saw a whole PS, State Department Basic Education, telling members of parliament that we have not budgeted for examinations, no, help me to wonder. Where are we going to? So what? So where has money gone to? You know, and that's why we are saying, if honestly we can lose, NEC requires about 4 billion shillings. But guess what? We can lose 2.1 billion shillings, just like that, and say nothing about it. We can lose billions in ghost students. And what really pains me about ghost students is, ghost students may exist because there are people keying in the data. But there is no ghost to withdraw money. No ghost will withdraw money. Okay. Money will be withdrawn by human beings who are known. The Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Finance, they know their accounts. They know the owners of the accounts. What exactly are we talking about?
And they know the people who have the powers to withdraw that money.
And they know the people who have the powers to withdraw that money.
Yes.
And then you entertain us with a conversation that, you know, we have 50,000 ghost students. We are not interested in the ghosts. We are interested in the money. And that is why we are saying we are not going to rest. And we do not want arrests. We do not want interdictions. We want the money back. For what use is interdicting ahead of school who have gone away with 50 million Kenya shillings? They are so happy that you interdict them, by the way, so that they can find time to spend the 50 million that they stole. But was the money stolen by school heads? School heads have said no.
Yes.
School heads have said no. And they threatened the ministry. They issued a press statement. Kupet issued a press statement that if indeed it is a principal that stole the money, flag 1.
Yes, tell us.
Flag 1. So that tells you, what does that tell you? That money has been stolen by people who are known. By people.
And they are within the Ministry of Education.
They are not even within the Ministry of Education.
Where are they?
They are within the Ministry of Finance. You know, Ministry of Education is just a paper, is a conveyor of papers. It's not a conveyor of money. Money never comes to the Ministry of Education.
Who authorizes and licenses schools?
Who authorizes?
And licenses.
It is